Chapter 1. Sky Dragon Continent, Zhenwu Dynasty, Dragon Spirit City. East of Dragon Spirit City, Qin family. On the bed, a handsome young man of about 15 or 16 years old lay motionless. The young master has been in a coma for 2 years. No one knows when he will wake up. I heard from the third elder that the young master might not wake up in the future. Shoo, lower your voice. If the family master hears this, he will punish you. A few maids finished cleaning the room. They looked at the young man who had been in a coma for 2 years and left in whispers. Roar. After a quarter of an hour, a long and boundless dragon's roar suddenly resounded in the room, following which a golden dragon shadow appeared out of nowhere and entered the young man's forehead. In the next moment, the young man who had been in a deep sleep suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes, a golden dragon shadow danced and did not dissipate for a long time. Who would have thought that the immortal reincarnation pill would really allow me to reincarnate? As if waking up from a dream, Qin Yu sat up and looked at the young face in the bronze mirror. Qin Yu was originally a great emperor of the heaven region. He was known as the dragon god sovereign and was feared by all. However, in the forbidden zone of the heaven region, Qin Yu was ambushed by his best brother, the mad dragon god sovereign Xing Luo, and the 12 ancient emperors. Besieged by the 13 ancient emperors, Qin Yu's battle prowess was overwhelming, but he still died with hatred in his heart. However, the mad dragon god sovereign and the 12 ancient emperors did not know that Qin Yu had obtained an immortal reincarnation pill in the past. Therefore, although Qin Yu's physical body was destroyed, his soul was reborn after 1,000 years of reincarnation. Xing Luo, 12 ancient emperors, you have to live well. Qin Yu clenched his fists, his eyes filled with killing intent. Sooner or later, he would go back to the Qingyun realm and take revenge with his own hands. However, Qin Yu quickly withdrew the killing intent in his eyes. Killing his way back to the heaven domain and regaining the position of sovereign was not something that could be accomplished overnight. Now, I have to recover my cultivation and take back the martial vein. In this life, Qin Yu was also a genius. He entered the martial arts world at the age of 8, awakened his 9th-class martial vein at the age of 9, refined his body by absorbing spiritual energy at the age of 10, entered the real martial arts realm at the age of 11, reached the Shin martial arts realm at the age of 12, and reached the half-step earth martial arts realm at the age of 13. At that time, Qin Yu was hailed as a rare genius that only appeared once every few hundred years. His name was known throughout several martial counties. Unfortunately, when he was 14 years old, when Qin Yu was helping his childhood sweetheart, Shui Yutong, awaken her martial vein, he was ambushed by Shui Yutong, causing his martial vein to be taken away and his cultivation to dissipate. Although Qin Yu was lucky enough to escape with his life, he was poisoned by the soul extermination powder, causing him to be in a coma for 2 years. If not for the fact that his soul from his previous life had gradually awakened during this period of time, he would have died long ago. Creak! At this moment, the door was pushed open, and a middle-aged man in a black robe with a dignified face walked in. Little you. When the middle-aged man saw that Qin Yu had awakened, he stopped in his tracks and was stunned. Second uncle. This middle-aged man was Qin Yu's second uncle in this life, and also the patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Tianhu. Little you, you're really awake? That's great. Hearing Qin Yu's voice, Qin Tianhu came back to his senses. He was so excited that he almost cried tears of joy. Second uncle, don't worry, I'm fine now. Qin Yu had never seen his parents since he was young. It was said that he was brought back to the Qin family by his father when he was a baby. Since then, his father had left the Qin family, and his mother had never even met the Qin family. In Qin Yu's memory, his second uncle Qin Tianhu was the closest to him. It's good that you're awake. All right, little you, what happened back then? How did you get poisoned by the soul extermination powder, and even your martial vein disappeared? Was it done by the Schweff family? After checking carefully to make sure that Qin Yu was fine, Qin Tianhu asked the question that had been on his mind for the past 2 years. I'll settle this matter personally. Qin Yu did not tell Qin Tianhu the truth. Looks like it was really done by the Shui family. Shui Liu, that despicable ingrate. Did he forget that if it weren't for Big Brother, they would have been destroyed by the Ma family when they first came to Dragon Spirit City? Now he's ungrateful and took away your martial vein. Qin Tianhu's voice was cold and filled with killing intent. Qin Yu's reaction told him the answer without a doubt. 2 years ago, he suspected that Qin Yu's poisoning and disappearance of his martial vein had something to do with the Shui family. After all, not long after Qin Yu was poisoned, the Shui family announced that Shui Yutong had awakened a 9th-grade martial vein. With Shui Yutong's talent, it was impossible for her to awaken a 9th-grade martial vein. Otherwise, she wouldn't have needed Qin Yu's help to awaken it. Second uncle, what's Shui Yutong's cultivation now? Shui Yutong had taken his martial vein and cultivated for 2 years. Her cultivation shouldn't be weak. Half a year ago, the Shui family held a celebratory banquet. Shui Yutong's cultivation has already entered the earth martial realm. Qin Tianhu's face turned colder. On the path of cultivation, body tempering was the beginning, followed by the true martial realm, profound martial realm, earth martial realm, and sky martial realm. Each realm was divided into 9 grades. A 15-year-old earth martial realm cultivator. Shui Yutong's reputation was just like Qin Yu's in the past. Earth martial realm, huh? Qin Yu smiled faintly. An earth martial realm cultivator was indeed a top expert in Dragon Spirit City. But in his eyes, it was just one of the 5 basic realms. There was nothing to be afraid of. There's another piece of news. In a month, the Imperial Sacred Academy will come to the city to recruit students. It said that they came specifically for Shui Yutong. Qin Tianhu hesitated for a moment before speaking. He was afraid that Qin Yu would be provoked. After all, entering the Imperial Sacred Academy had always been Qin Yu's goal. The Imperial Sacred Academy? Qin Yu's eyes flickered. The Imperial Sacred Academy was founded by the imperial family of the Zhenwu dynasty. It had a history of 1,000 years and had produced countless geniuses and powerhouses. It could even be said that in the Zhenwu dynasty, being able to enter the Imperial Sacred Academy meant that one had a meteoric rise. Qin Yu didn't care about the Imperial Sacred Academy's recruitment. However, if Shui Yutong entered the Imperial Sacred Academy, he would have to use more means to get back the martial vein. 1 month should be enough for me to reach the level of Earth Martial Realm. Qin Yu thought to himself. If anyone knew what he was thinking, they would think that his brain was damaged. Even Qin Tianhu, the patriarch of the Qin clan, was only an 8th-grade Earth Martial Realm cultivator. If Qin Yu wants to reach the level of being able to deal with Earth Martial Stage experts within a month, what is it if not the ravings of a fool? After talking for a while, Qin Tianhu told Qin Yu to rest well and got up to leave. However, after Qin Tianhu left, Qin Yu immediately sat down cross-legged, formed hand seals with his hands, and focused on his inner body. Appear! Qin Yu's heart moved. In his soul's sea, a golden light flashed and a golden Shenron appeared, turning into a golden dragon head ancient seal. This dragon head ancient seal was called the Ancient Seal of the Divine Dragon. This was refined by Qin Yu in an immortal ancient ruin with the body of an immortal Shenron. The Ancient Seal of the Divine Dragon contained the power of the immortal Shenron and could suppress all dragon blood in the world. Qin Yu was besieged by Xing Luo and the others. Before he died, he exiled the Ancient Seal of the Divine Dragon to the endless void to prevent it from falling into the hands of Xing Luo and the others. Previously, when Qin Yu's soul had successfully awakened, the Ancient Seal of the Divine Dragon was summoned into his body. Chapter 2. Strange? How can the dragon vein energy be so faint? Right after the ancient divine dragon seal appeared, Qin Yu discovered that it was a bit strange. Dragon soul, he called out twice, and his consciousness immediately entered the ancient seal. The ancient seal's space was vast and boundless, like the starry sky. In the center was a pitch-black ancient dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long. It was like a stone statue, quietly floating without the slightest trace of life. This is falling into a deep sleep? This pitch-black dragon was a dragon soul that Qin Yu had cultivated from the immortal dragon god's body. Now that the dragon soul had suddenly fallen into a deep sleep, something must have happened after it was exiled to the endless void. Is it Xing Luo? The only person that knew that Qin Yu possessed a treasure like the ancient divine dragon seal was Star Luo. Dragon Qi condense. After pondering for a moment, Qin Yu did not hesitate and communicated with the ancient dragon seal with his consciousness. From within the ancient divine dragon seal, a boundless and ancient dragon roar sounded. Following that, strands of dragon spirit energy quietly seeped into Qin Yu's body. Not long after, a golden dragon vein was condensed in Qin Yu's body. This golden dragon vein was the void dragon vein. Qin Yu's original martial vein was taken away, so he was unable to condense a true dragon vein. Now he could only use the void dragon vein to temporarily replace his cultivation. Ancient battle dragon art. After condensing the void dragon vein, Qin Yu immediately circulated the ancient battle dragon art. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As Qin Yu circulated the immemorial battle dragon art, the pure spiritual energy visible to the naked eye in the air of the room was sucked into his body in an extremely barbaric manner. The ancient battle dragon art was a primordial taboo technique that Qin Yu had obtained in his previous life. The reason why the mad dragon Emperor Xing Luo had plotted against him was because of this ancient battle dragon art. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon Qi and spirit energy entering his body caused Qin Yu's body to tremble slightly, and his cultivation broke through rapidly. First level of the body tempering stage. Third level of the body tempering stage. Fifth level of the body tempering stage. Seventh level of the body tempering stage. Ninth level of the body tempering stage. Boom! The true Qi in his body surged and gathered in his dantian, forming a true Qi vortex that automatically absorbed spirit Qi. True martial realm. In less than a quarter of an hour, he had gone from having no cultivation at all to breaking through the body-tempering realm to the true martial realm. If news of this were spread, who knew how many people would be stunned? However, Qin Yu was still somewhat dissatisfied with this situation. If it wasn't for the fact that the dragon Qi within the ancient dragon god seal had been exhausted, Qin Yu was confident that he could directly charge into the Xian martial realm. I have to think of a way to obtain a bloodline that contains dragon blood. The reason why the primordial combat dragon art was called the primordial taboo cultivation method was because of the primordial taboo cultivation method. This was because as long as one could continuously devour the dragon's blood, one's cultivation would become infinitely stronger. Furthermore, for every type of dragon's blood that was devoured, the host would be able to obtain the divine ability contained within the dragon's blood. In Qin Yu's previous life, he had relied on the myriad of dragon race's mystical abilities to become the dragon god supreme and become famous throughout the world. Thud, thud, thud. While Qin Yu was pondering, Qin Tianhu returned. This time, he even brought a white-haired old man with him. This white-haired old man was the third elder of the Qin clan. He was also the most skilled alchemist in the Dragon Spirit City. The soul eradicating powder that the young patriarch was inflicted with has indeed been completely neutralized. Everything is fine now. Qin Tianhu, who was originally a little worried, was completely relieved when he heard the third elder's diagnosis. Patriarch, since the young patriarch is fine, I'll head to the city lord's mansion first. The third elder came in a hurry and left in a hurry. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Second uncle, why is the third elder in such a hurry to the city lord's mansion? Qin Yu got off the bed and asked curiously as he put on his clothes. A few days ago, the city lord's mansion issued a reward for detoxification. It said that someone in the city lord's mansion was poisoned by the ghost venom spider. The reward is 100,000 spiritual stones. Qin Tianhu smacked his lips. 100,000 spiritual stones was equivalent to 10 million taels of gold. Even when the Qin clan's income was at its peak, they did not have 100,000 spiritual stones in a year. It could be seen that the city lord's mansion had invested a lot this time. It was a pity that the ghost venom spider's poison was extremely potent. In the past few days, countless alchemists had already been rejected. The third elder seemed to have come up with a new countermeasure this time, which was why he hurried over. City Lord's mansion, ghost venom spider, 100,000 spiritual stones? However, Qin Tianhu did not notice that Qin Yu was slightly stunned after hearing this. All right, second uncle, I remember that the City Lord's mansion has a demonic snake called the Scarlet Lightning Python, right? Then, Qin Yu seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes lit up. That's right. That's a spirit beast that the City Lord nurtured. Its cultivation has reached the half-step sky martial realm. Qin Tianhu nodded. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. It was really like someone sending a pillow when you wanted to sleep. The Scarlet Lightning Python possessed the bloodline of the desolate era lightning dragon. The higher the cultivation of the Scarlet Lightning Python, the more powerful the bloodline power in its body would be. After making up his mind, Qin Yu went to the courtyard outside the house and moved around casually. Qin Tianhu accompanied him for a while before going to work. As the patriarch, he naturally had many things to do. Following Qin Yu's appearance, the news of his awakening quickly spread throughout the Qin family and quickly spread. However, after an hour had passed, Qin Yu had quietly disappeared from the Qin clan. In the south of Dragon Spirit City, there was a magnificent building. This was one of the three great martial families of Dragon Spirit City, the Shui family. Father, are you sure the news is true? Qin Yu has really awakened? A beautiful girl around 15 years old wearing a snow-white dress asked in disbelief. This girl was Shui Yutong. It's absolutely true. In front of Shui Yutong was her father, Shui Liu. That shouldn't be the case. The poison of the soul, eradicating powder, directly enters the soul. How could Qin Yu have awakened? Shui Yutong frowned slightly. To be honest, it was already beyond her expectations that Qin Yu could survive 2 years without dying. Now that he had awakened, she was even more shocked. So what if he has awakened? Now that his martial vein has been taken away by us, he's already a good-for-nothing. There's no need to waste our efforts. Shui Yu's face was indifferent. Since Qin Yu had awakened the 9th grade martial vein, he had been scheming for Shui Yutong to take away Qin Yu's martial vein. Now, Shui Yutong had become a famous genius in the martial county and was about to enter the Imperial Sacred Academy. However, Qin Yu was already a good-for-nothing with no cultivation. He was like an ant, and there was no need to be afraid of him. Since Qin Yu has awakened, the Qin family might know about what happened back then. Once the Qin family wantonly spreads it, I will be accused of murdering my fiancée. Shui Yutong shook her head slightly, a cold, murderous intent surging in her eyes. For Shui Yutong, who had been worshipped as a goddess, this was a reputation she absolutely did not want to get involved with. Moreover, she was about to enter the Imperial Sacred Academy to cultivate. Naturally, she did not want the people of the Sacred Academy to hear about it. That's right. If the news of us seizing his martial vein were to spread, it might even cause a lot of unforeseen events when we return to the Shui clan's main family. A cold, murderous intent appeared on Shui Luoyu's face. Among the 3 major families in Dragon Spirit City, the Shui family was the weakest. They had only moved to Dragon Spirit City 20 years ago. Because Qin Yu's father had helped the Shui family, the 2 families had a good relationship. That was why the marriage between Qin Yu and Shui Yutong was arranged. However, the Qin family did not know that Shui Liu was originally from the Shui family, one of the 1,000-year-old families in the Zhenwu dynasty. Because their bloodline had been expelled from the Shui family, they had wandered to Dragon Spirit City. That was also why Shui Liu had deliberately planned for Qin Yu and Shui Yutong to marry after Qin Yu had awakened the 9th grade martial vein. Then, he would take away Qin Yu's martial vein. His goal was to one day return to the Shui family's main family. I have to think of a way to completely wipe out Qin Yu. No, the entire Qin family. Shui Yutong's eyes were filled with murderous intent as she murmured softly. Chapter 3. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At this moment, Qin Yu, who had left the Qin family quietly, arrived at the city. Although Dragon Spirit City was not the main city, it was still bustling with activity. There were many martial artists and people. Qin Yu arrived at the center of the city, in front of the magnificent governor's mansion. The governor's mansion is an important place. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. The two guards of the governor's mansion were about to question Qin Yu, but a shadow flashed, and Qin Yu appeared behind them. Inform the governor that I am here to cure the poison. Qin Yu put his hands behind his back and walked leisurely into the governor's mansion. He is so fast. The two guards looked at each other in shock. They were at the profound martial realm, but they could not even see him. Who was this young man? At this moment, there were three figures in the governor's mansion. The person sitting in the main seat was not the governor, Shang Lingfeng, but a girl in a blue dress. The girl was about 15 years old. She was beautiful and elegant, but her face was sickly pale, as if she had been ill for a long time. Governor Shang, we have troubled you these days. We plan to leave tomorrow. Beside the girl, an old man in black with white hair and beard said to Shang Lingfeng, Leave tomorrow? Old Qi, the princess is poisoned. If we miss Master Gu Yuan, I am afraid. Shang Lingfeng said respectfully. If there were any outsiders here, they would be shocked. The girl in the blue dress was the daughter of the white Wu commandery prince, princess by Qingwei. There's no other way. Although I don't know why Master Gu Yuan is living in seclusion in Dragon Spirit City. Given his character, since he said that he won't do anything, he definitely won't do anything. By Qingwei's side, her voice was weak and weak. Princess, why don't you stay for a few more days? When I find out why Master Gu Yuan is living in seclusion in the city, there may be hope. Shang Lingfeng persuaded. Governor, there's a young man outside. He said that he can cure the poison of the ghost poison spider. At this moment, there was a rush of footsteps as a guard reported from outside. Someone is here to cure the poison? A young man? Shang Lingfeng raised his eyebrows. Today, several batches of people had come to detoxify the poison, but all of them had returned empty-handed. Among them was the Qin family's third elder, whom he had high hopes for. Now, Ling Shangfeng was completely disappointed with the people who had come knocking on his door. Since he's here, let him try. Bai Qingwei opened her mouth to speak, but held the mentality of treating a dead horse as a living horse. Bring him in. Shang Lingfeng instructed and sent someone to fetch the ghost venom spider's venom. Not long after, Qin Yu entered the hall. You are the one who can cure the ghost poison spider's poison. Shang Lingfeng's face was full of doubt. No matter how he looked at it, Qin Yu seemed to be in his 20s. That's right. Qin Yu smiled. The venom of the ghost poison spider is here. Shang Lingfeng pointed at a jade cup on the table. Within the jade cup, there was half a cup of pitch-black liquid that faintly emitted a strange smell. Qin Yu picked up the jade cup and smelled it. His face suddenly flashed with joy. Does he really have a way? Noticing the joy on Qin Yu's face, Bai Qingwei and the black-robed old man couldn't help but look at each other. How is it? Can it be dissolved? Shang Lingfeng also looked at Qin Yu in surprise. Of course it could be dissolved. Qin Yu smiled confidently, took out a small porcelain bottle, and poured a few drops of light green liquid into the jade cup. This was the antidote he had specially concocted before coming to the city lord's mansion. Qin Yu was not only an emperor of the Heaven Domain, but also a master of alchemy and array. His attainments in alchemy were close to those emperor of the Heaven Domain. Dissolving the poison was naturally a piece of cake. Chi. Immediately, a burst of white mist came out from the jade cup, and the originally pitch-black ghost venom spider's venom quickly became lighter. No way, he can really detoxify it. Ling Shangfeng's face stiffened in disbelief. The poison has indeed been mostly purified. The black-robed old man took a step forward and directly appeared in front of the tea table, his face trembling. Bai Qingwei also got up and trotted over. The excitement on her face could not be concealed. This old man, Qin Yu's eyes flashed. The black-robed old man's cultivation had surpassed the sky martial realm. Young master, this ghost venom spider's venom seems to have not been completely purified. What is the reason? Seeing the ghost venom spider's venom stop after turning light black, Bai Qingwei was startled and turned to look at Qin Yu. The ghost venom spider's venom has indeed been purified by me. Now the remaining poison in the cup is a mixture of the other 372 kinds of poison contained in the venom. Chinyu picked up the jade cup and gently shook it. The originally light black venom immediately turned dark green. 372 poisons mixed together. Shang Lingfeng looked confused. What do you mean? But the black-robed old man and Bai Qingyue were ecstatic. Young master, please take a seat. The black-robed old man quickly invited Chinyu to take a seat with a warm attitude. He didn't expect that after hitting a wall with Master Guan, he would see the light at the end of the tunnel, and such a powerful person would appear. Chinyu could tell at a glance that there were 372 kinds of poison in the ghost venom spider's venom, which showed that he understood this poison very well. I wonder if young master has a way to detoxify the other poisons. Bai Qingyue asked politely. If it's only these 372 kinds of poison, it's naturally not difficult to detoxify them. But if you want to detoxify the 1,000 poison inky dragon's poison in your body, it's a bit difficult. Chinyu's eyes fell on Bai Qingyue. When he smelled the venom, Chinyu judged that it was the 1,000 poison inky dragon's poison. And when Bai Qingyue approached before, Chinyu also knew that she was the one who was poisoned. The 1,000 poison inky dragon fed on all kinds of poisons in the world. The poison it contained was a mixture of countless kinds of poisons. It was impossible to detoxify a single kind of poison, and it might even produce a mutated poison. Therefore, the 1,000 poison inky dragon's poison was said to be fatal, and there was no cure. This was also the reason why Chinyu's face was filled with joy, because the 1,000 poison inky dragon also had the bloodline of the dragon clan, and it was the bloodline power of the World Annihilation Poisonous Dragon. The World Annihilation Poisonous Dragon was several levels higher than the remote Antiquity Thunder Dragon in terms of rank and strength. Of course, the bloodline of the 1,000 poison inky dragon was naturally much more powerful than that of the bloodthirsty thunder python. Since it's only a little difficult, I think young master has a way. Hearing Chinyu point out the poison in her body, Bai Qingyue looked at Chinyu expectantly. The White Martial Commandery Prince's mansion had invited countless powerful doctors and alchemists, and even poison masters. But unfortunately, no one could do anything about the 1,000 poison inky dragon's poison. Therefore, she tried many ways to find out the whereabouts of Master Gu Yuan, and personally came to Dragon Spirit City to find Master Gu Yuan. Of course there is a way, but the ghost poison spider's poison and the 1,000 poison inky dragon's poison are not at the same level. So, 100,000 spirit stones are not enough for this reward. A smile appears on the corners of Chinyu's mouth. The purpose of his trip this time is not only for the 100,000 holy stones. Young master, just say the word. The black-clothed old man said heroically. 200,000 spirit stones, plus 10 drops of the bloodthirsty thunder python's origin bloodline power. Chinyu looked at Shang Lingfeng and said with a smile, "What? 10 drops of the bloodthirsty thunder python's bloodline power?" Shang Lingfeng's face stiffened. He did not expect that this unexpected disaster would fall on his head. Was this kid crazy? 10 drops of the bloodthirsty thunder python's bloodline, and it was the origin bloodline? One had to know that a drop of the origin bloodline could cause his bloodthirsty thunder python to suffer great damage. If he lost 10 drops, wouldn't his cultivation drop, and even his potential be greatly damaged? Chapter 4. What's wrong? Is the city lord unwilling? Chinyu acted as if he didn't see Shang Lingfeng's ferocious expression as he continued to smile. From the black-clothed old man's attitude towards Bai Qingyue, he could tell that Bai Qingyue's identity wasn't ordinary. That was why he had asked for such an exorbitant price. He had doubled the price of the spirit stones and asked for 10 drops of bloodline power. Of course, Chinyu's biggest source of confidence was that Bai Qingyue was poisoned by the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon. Not to mention the Dragon Spirit City. Even in the entire Zhenwu dynasty, no one could detoxify the poison of the flood dragon. How could that be? As long as young master could detoxify the poison, I will immediately give you 200,000 spirit stones and 10 drops of bloodline power. Shang Lingfeng only lost his composure for a moment before he quickly recovered. Although the scarlet blood python lost 10 drops of bloodline power, its strength was bound to decrease greatly. But if he could establish a relationship with the White Wu Royal Palace, then the benefits to him were self-evident. City Lord Shang, rest assured that we will definitely compensate you for your losses. Seeing that Qin Yu agreed to detoxify the poison, Bai Qingwei and the black-clothed old man both smiled. Hearing Bai Qingwei and the black-clothed old man's promise, Shang Lingfeng was naturally overjoyed. City Lord, send someone to fetch these spirit materials and medicine jars. You must strictly follow the pill formula. After the conditions were agreed upon, Qin Yu asked Shang Lingfeng to fetch a brush and paper and wrote down a long list of herbs. There were more than 1,000 kinds of herbs. This was the pill formula for the antidote. The City Lord's mansion was extremely efficient. In less than half a cup of tea's time, all the herbs were ready. Qin Yu didn't avoid it and directly started to prepare the antidote in front of the 3 people. In Qin Yu's hands, stalks of spiritual herbs were cut, squeezed, incinerated, and fused. Qin Yu's movements were skillful and dazzling. There was an indescribable sense of beauty. Who was he? Bai Qingwei looked at the indifferent Qin Yu as he prepared the medicine. Her eyes were filled with unconcealable curiosity. Over the years, she had seen countless high-level doctors and alchemists. However, it was the first time he had seen someone as young as Qin Yu who was so proficient in concocting medicine. The antidote is ready. However, the poison has already penetrated deep into your bone marrow. It will be difficult to purify it in one go. I estimate that it will take 2 stages, maybe 2 months, to completely resolve it. The antidote we're concocting now is for the first stage. Qin Yu looked at Bai Qingyue's hands. There were already faint black lines on her fingers. This was a symptom of the flood dragon's poison in her body, indicating that her condition was very serious. As long as the antidote can be cured, let alone 2 months, even if it takes 2 years, it doesn't matter. Bai Qingwei was extremely excited as she received the antidote with trembling hands. Now, you can try the effect of the medicine. After learning how to use it, Bai Qingwei and the black-robed old man quickly left. As for Qin Yu, he sat down calmly and waited for the result. Only when the antidote formula was confirmed to be effective would he be able to obtain the spirit stones and the blood of the scarlet thunder python. Of course, in order to prevent them from going back on their words, Qin Yu also secretly held back and did not completely resolve the poison in one go. Little brother, how should I address you? Shang Lingfeng also sat down and called for the servants to serve tea. Qin Yu did not hide his identity. This could be found out with a little investigation. Qin Yu? Qin family's young patriarch? Shang Lingfeng felt that this name was a little familiar. After carefully looking at Qin Yu, his expression was shocked. That's right. Qin Yu lightly nodded. Weren't you poisoned by the soul, eradicating powder, already resolved? Shang Lingfeng said as he regained his senses. Qin Yu could even resolve the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon's poison. Resolving the soul, eradicating powder was naturally not a problem. However, who was teaching Qin Yu behind the scenes? The Qin family's 3rd elder should not have this ability. Could it be Master Gu Yuan? Thinking of this, Shang Lingfeng felt that it was extremely possible. After all, Qin Yu, a 16-year-old youth, could resolve the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon's poison that countless high-level alchemists were helpless against. This was really surprising. After about half an hour, the black-clothed old man returned and quickly entered the hall. Elder Qi, how's the situation? Shang Lingfeng immediately stood up. The poison in Mrs. Body has been resolved by nearly half. The black-clothed old man beamed with joy. City Lord, since you've confirmed that the antidote is useful, then shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Qin Yu looked at Shang Lingfeng lightly. I'll go prepare right away. Shang Lingfeng came back to his senses and immediately flew out. Young master, do you know the detoxification method in the later stages? The black-clothed old man asked Qin Yu. The detoxification method in the later stages, when the city lord returns, I'll immediately tell you. As Qin Yu spoke, the topic changed to the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon. Speaking of which, where did your miss get poisoned by the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon? Since he got the clue of the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon, Qin Yu naturally wouldn't let it go. It's in the Royal Sacred Institute. The black-clothed old man pondered for a moment before saying, "The Royal Sacred Institute." Qin Yu's expression changed slightly. In the Royal Sacred Institute, there's a secret realm. My miss got poisoned by the 10,000 poison inky flood dragon when she was training in the secret realm. The black-clothed old man said, "Was that 10,000 poison inky flood dragon captured by anyone?" Qin Yu hurriedly asked. "That beast is extremely cunning. Even when the elders of the Sacred Institute attacked, it escaped." The black-clothed old man said with hatred. But when Qin Yu heard this, a hint of a smile flashed across the corners of his mouth. It seemed that he really had to make a trip to the Royal Sacred Institute. Soon, Shang Lingfeng returned and handed Qin Yu a small cloth bag. Although the cloth bag was small, it had a space of 100 feet inside. This was a sumaru pouch. Shang Lingfeng was generous and directly gave it to Qin Yu. After confirming the 200,000 spirit stones and the 10 drops of bloodthirsty thunder python's blood, Qin Yu nodded with satisfaction. "Then I'll take my leave." After putting away the sumaru pouch and writing down the detoxification method, Qin Yu planned to leave. "Young master, this is the token of the White Martial Commandery Prince's mansion. You saved my miss this time. If you need help in the future, just show this token and the White Martial Commandery Prince's mansion will do our best to help." Before Qin Yu left, the black-clothed old man took out a token. On the token, there was a light white martial character engraved on it, exuding an inexplicable majesty. So it's someone from the Commandery Prince's mansion. Qin Yu slightly understood. No wonder Shang Lingfeng's attitude was so respectful. After receiving the token, Qin Yu strode out of the governor's mansion. After returning to the Qin family, Qin Yu immediately went into seclusion. With these 200,000 spirit stones and the 10 drops of bloodthirsty thunder python's blood, I should be able to awaken the dragon's soul. Qin Yu had always been concerned about the dragon's soul's dormant state. Without hesitation, the ancient dragon seal appeared. On Qin Yu's palm, a golden dragon seal appeared. With a thought, the items in the sumaru pouch were all sucked into the vast starry sky of the ancient dragon seal. The 200,000 spirit stones and the 10 drops of bloodthirsty thunder python's blood automatically dispersed. Transform. With a roll of dragon chi, 150,000 of the 200,000 spirit stones directly exploded, turning into a majestic torrent of spirit chi that surged into the pitch-black ancient dragon. Crack! The 10 jade bottles containing the power of the bloodthirsty thunder python's blood also exploded at this moment, and the bloodthirsty thunder python's blood also merged into the ancient dragon. Roar! After half an hour, a deafening dragon roar suddenly came from the pitch-black ancient dragon. In the next moment, the ancient dragon's eyes suddenly opened, and a supreme dragon aura descended. Then, the entire space of the ancient dragon seal was filled with a vast dragon chi. The dragon's soul had awakened. Chapter 5. Finally awake. The ancient dragon spoke with a clear voice like that of a young man. "Dragon soul, how did you fall into a deep sleep?" Qin Yu looked at the dragon soul that was gradually recovering and asked, "Of course it's because of your good brother. I told you not to trust him too much." The dragon's soul gritted its teeth. It had almost died in the hands of Xing Luo. "He found you in the endless void?" Qin Yu raised his eyebrows. "Yes." The dragon's soul nodded. "How did you escape?" Although the dragon's soul was strong at its peak, it was still not comparable to a great emperor, not to mention Xing Luo, who had reached the sovereign realm. Fortunately, Fairy Shualan came in time and blocked the mad dragon's sovereign for me. The dragon's soul said, "Otherwise, I wouldn't have fallen into a deep sleep. My soul would have been completely scattered." Shualan. Qin Yu was startled. In his mind, a graceful figure of a peerless beauty appeared. "Fairy Shualan, one of the great emperors of the sky region. Her origin was a mystery. Because Qin Yu saved her life, she had always been by Qin Yu's side. She was Qin Yu's only confidant. Unfortunately, in his previous life, Qin Yu had wholeheartedly pursued the peak of the martial path. Thus, he had never responded to Fairy Shuelan's feelings. Fairy Shuelan asked me to bring you a message. She said, the dragon's soul said, even if I have to search the 9 heavens and 10 earths, I will find you. Qin Yu's mind was shaken. His expression changed. At this moment, Qin Yu realized that Fairy Shuelan had left an unforgettable mark in his heart. Fairy Shuelan seems to be very sure that you're not dead. Did you tell her about the immortal reincarnation pill? After saying that, the dragon's soul asked with some doubt. Only you and I know about the immortal reincarnation pill. Qin Yu shook his head. That's strange. Even Xing Luo thought you were dead, and he asked me to submit to him. The dragon's soul was even more confused. Perhaps it has something to do with Fairy Shuelan's background. Qin Yu pondered for a moment. Even he didn't know where Fairy Shuelan came from. Forget it. Let's talk about this later. After clarifying the situation, Qin Yu did not waste any more time and immediately activated the immemorial battle dragon art. Ong 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 ong. Accompanied by millions of dragon roars, an earth-shattering dragon aura poured into Qin Yu's body from the divine dragon ancient seal. The void dragon vein in Qin Yu's body surged, and the true qi in his body skyrocketed. Why aren't you condensing the dragon veins? When the dragon's soul sensed that Qin Yu had the void dragon bloodline, it couldn't help but feel astonished. One had to know that after a dragon vein was formed, it could give birth to branched dragon veins. At most, it could give birth to 99 dragon veins. In other words, his cultivation speed would increase 99 times. His martial vein was taken away. Qin Yu directly through the memories of this life to the dragon soul. I didn't expect that the famous divine dragon emperor would almost die in the hands of a woman in this life. The dragon's soul grinned. Cut the crap. Hurry up and refine the dragon blood in the Crimson Thunder Python's bloodline. Then, sense it carefully and see if there are any demonic beast bloodlines that contain dragon blood. Qin Yu said, so it's a branch of the desolate ancient thunder dragon's bloodline. This is too inferior. Back then, I didn't even look at dragon bloodlines below the divine dragon bloodline. The dragon's soul had a look of disdain. Right now, I'm only at the true martial realm. Any sky martial realm cultivator can destroy us. Qin Yu said, if you don't want to die, hurry up and refine the bloodline and recover your cultivation. I didn't expect that the soul of the immortal ancient Shenron, would fall to such a state. The dragon soul's tone was like a tiger being bullied by a dog. However, he didn't hesitate and immediately refined the bloodline power in his body. Boom! Qin Yu's cultivation rose rapidly as he ran the ancient battle dragon art. 15 minutes later, the genuine Qi vortex in Qin Yu's Dantian doubled in size. His cultivation broke through to LV2 of the true martial realm. Boom! An hour later, Qin Yu's aura surged. His cultivation broke through again to LV3 of the true martial realm. Boom! 2 hours later, Qin Yu's dragon Qi appeared and circled around him. His cultivation reached LV4 of the true martial realm. Break for me. 4 hours later, Qin Yu growled. The genuine Qi vortex expanded again and reached LV5 of the true martial realm. With the dragon Qi exhausted, Qin Yu's cultivation stopped at LV5 of the true martial realm. Dragon Blood Boil. 8 Desolation Thunder Seal. 2 new secret techniques appeared in Qin Yu's mind. They were the innate secret techniques of the Crimson Thunder Python. Dragon Blood Boil burned the dragon blood to increase combat strength. 8 Desolation Thunder Seal used the power of thunder to condense a dragon seal and suppress the 8 desolations. Based on his initial estimation, these 2 innate skills should be equivalent to profound rank 8 martial skills. Martial skills were divided into yellow rank, profound rank, earth rank, heaven rank, and so on. Every rank was divided into 9 ranks, similar to the division of the martial Tao. It's only equivalent to a profound rank martial skill. The power of the Crimson Thunder Python's dragon blood is really weak. Qin Yu didn't care about these two abilities. In his previous life, he had cultivated countless divine abilities and secret techniques, and any one of them was far superior to these two. Of course, he wasn't able to use those powerful martial skills right now. These two secret techniques just happened to come in handy at the moment. I sensed it. At this moment, the dragon soul's surprised voice came from the dragon god's ancient seal. So fast. What dragon blood is it? Qin Yu's eyes lit up. The dragon soul was good at sensing dragon blood. It's not dragon blood, but dragon vein. The dragon soul said it's in this city. Dragon vein? There's a dragon vein in Dragon Spirit City? After Qin Yu sensed it carefully, he asked curiously, "That's not right. If there's a dragon vein, how can I not sense it?" "That's because someone has imprisoned the dragon vein." The dragon soul grinned. The origin dragon chi in the dragon vein was a great tonic. He's been detained? Qin Yu was surprised. The strongest person in Dragon Spirit City was Shang Lingfeng. However, Shang Lingfeng's cultivation was only at the Sky Martial Realm. As for the black-clothed old man from the White Martial Palace, although his cultivation had surpassed the Sky Martial Realm, his cultivation was still a little lacking to imprison the dragon vein. Who could it be? Let's go and take a look. The dragon's soul couldn't wait. That's true. However, just in case, let's unseal the immortal extermination diagram first. Qin Yu thought for a moment. Then his consciousness entered the dragon god's ancient seal and appeared in front of an altar. On the altar, there was an ancient map sealed. On the ancient map, one could see that there were three incomparably mysterious formations: the immemorial battle dragon art, the dragon god's ancient seal, and the immortal extermination diagram were the three most important treasures of Qin Yu. The immemorial battle dragon art devoured dragon blood to evolve and cultivate. The dragon god's ancient seal suppressed dragon blood and disintegrated dragon blood. The immortal extermination diagram was a pure killing weapon. There were even rumors that the immortal extermination diagram had killed a real immortal. In the immortal extermination diagram, there were three killing formations, namely the Heaven Extermination Formation, the God Extermination Formation, and the Immortal Extermination Formation. 8 Shinkuan seals, unseal. 8 mysterious seals formed by dragon chi entered the Immortal Extermination diagram and unsealed the Heaven Extermination Formation. Whoosh! In the next moment, a surge of murderous intent, like an ancient beast that had been released from its cage, raged in the vast void. With your current cultivation, you can't withstand the murderous intent of the Immortal Extermination diagram. You're playing with fire. Even the dragon's soul, which was 100,000 feet in size, chose to hide in the face of that murderous intent. It shouldn't be a problem to absorb the murderous intent into my body. Qin Yu's face was solemn. There were a total of 99 murderous intents in the Heaven Extermination Formation. Once released, it was enough to destroy the world. Qin Yu also knew that unsealing the murderous intent of the Immortal Extermination diagram was an extremely risky move. However, if he could absorb the murderous intent of the murderous intents, he would have the power to protect himself in the territory of White Marshall County. No matter who imprisoned the dragon vein, they would definitely not be able to withstand the murderous intent of the Heaven Extermination Formation. Chapter 6. After successfully absorbing the killing intent into his body, Qin Yu's consciousness returned to his body, and a smile appeared on his face. The direction of a dragon vein was to the north of the Dragon Spirit City. Qin Yu remembered that the north of the city was a free market. Although the 3 major clans had properties there, it was still a lawless place. Therefore, there were many ghosts and snakes in the north of the city. Although there were guards of the city lord's mansion, there were often disturbances. This was also the reason why Qin Yu decided to unseal the seal of the Zhu Xian painting and absorb the killing intent of the Zhu Tian formation into his body. Let's go quickly. If we are late, the dragon vein might be discovered by others. I don't know if this dragon vein is big. If it is heaven level, no, it is impossible for a heaven level spirit vein to appear in this desolate place. At most, it should be spirit level. Spirit level is not bad. If I completely devour it, then I should be able to manifest it. In the midst of the dragon soul's excited chatter, Qin Yu reluctantly got up and left the house. But just as he walked out of the loft, a group of people came to him. Qin Yu. The leader was a teenager around 16 years old with hazy eyes. When he saw Qin Yu, he was slightly startled, and a sneer appeared on his face. Qin Yu. After Qin Yu took a glance at that youngster, he remembered. His name was Qin Yu, the grandson of the Qin clan's branch elder. Qin Yu was 16 years old this year, and his cultivation was at LV8 true martial realm. Among the younger generation, he was considered outstanding. Hee, I didn't expect you to really wake up. Just in time, we should settle our accounts. Qin Yu walked over with his arms crossed. With a sneer on his face, he glanced at Qin Yu from the corner of his eyes. If it was 2 years ago, he would never have dared to put on such an attitude in front of Qin Yu. But now, Qin Yu's martial vein had been taken, and his cultivation was scattered. He naturally did not have to be afraid. Today, he must pay Qin Yu back 10 times the hatred of being beaten up by Qin Yu. Settle accounts with me? You have guts. Qin Yu chuckled. A group of true martial realm ants actually dare to be arrogant in front of us. Exterminate them. Within the divine dragon ancient seal, the dragon soul, which was completely concerned about the dragon vein, spoke in a sinister voice, overflowing with killing intent. Qin Yu, people from your branch lineage came to our direct lines territory. Are you looking for trouble? At this moment, many young figures appeared in the surrounding pavilions. The one who spoke was a young man about the same age as Qin Yu. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a sturdy body. The muscular young man was called Qin Shan. He was Qin Tianhu's son and had just turned 15 this year. He and Qin Yu grew up together and were as close as brothers. Now that Qin Yu was in trouble, he naturally stood up. As for the other youths, it was because of their status as direct descendants. In the Qin clan, there were direct descendants and branch descendants. Qin Yu and Qin Yu were members of the direct bloodline. In the Qin clan's hundreds of years of history, the position of patriarch had always been held by a direct descendant. The branch descendants had always played the role of support. But in recent years, many outstanding members of the direct bloodline had encountered accidents one after another. Among them, the disappearance of Qin Yu's father and the seizure of Qin Yu's martial vein had dealt the greatest blow to the direct bloodline. On the other hand, the branch descendants had constantly produced outstanding seedlings. Under this situation, the branch descendant strength was now on par with the direct bloodline. Qin Shan, this is a personal grudge between me and Qin Yu. Don't get involved. Qin Yu clenched his fists and sneered. Qin Shan's cultivation was only at the 6th level of the true martial realm. With a difference of 2 levels, Qin Yu naturally did not put him in his eyes. With us here, don't even think about touching a hair on Brother Qin Yu's head. Qin Shan stood in front of Qin Yu. What? It's only been a few days, and you've already forgotten the lesson from last time. Qin Yu laughed wildly, his face full of ridicule and contempt. The group of followers also laughed loudly. Qin Shan and the other youths of the direct bloodline did not look too good. The conflict between the direct bloodline and the branch descendants had become more and more obvious. The younger generation of the family naturally had conflicts. Unfortunately, among the current direct descendants of the younger generation, they were completely suppressed by the branch bloodline. Some time ago, they had a conflict with Qin Shan and the others and were beaten up. Brother Qin Yu is the young patriarch. Do you know what the punishment is for attacking the young patriarch? A youth of the direct bloodline shouted sternly. Young patriarch? Ha ha, a trash without a martial vein and unable to cultivate. What qualifications does he have to be the young patriarch of the family? Qin Yu and the others laughed even more wildly. It's not up to you to decide whether he's qualified or not, the youth said angrily. I can't decide, but don't forget that the Elders Guild can. Qin Yu's gaze falls on Qin Yu's body, and he gives a strange smile. Unfortunately, some time ago, the Elders' Assembly has already decided that in 5 days, at Qinyu's coming-of-age ceremony, they will abolish his position as the young master. Qinyu was abolished. Among the younger generation of the Qin family, the only ones who were qualified to be the young patriarch were naturally from the branch descendants. In fact, as early as 2 years ago, when Qin Yu's martial vein disappeared, the branch descendants had already prepared this plan. Now that Qin Yu had awakened, they could take advantage of Qin Yu's coming-of-age ceremony to finalize this matter. Impossible. My father won't agree. Qin Shan's face changed. He, the patriarch, is not the only one who makes the decisions in the family. Qin Yu smiled coldly and took a step forward. The tyrannical aura of an LV8 true martial realm was released. I'll say it one last time. Get out of the way, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. As Qin Yu's voice fell, the branch descendants behind him also rubbed their palms. Qin Yu, with your strength, who can you be impolite to? Chuckling, Qin Yu pulled away Qin Shan, who was about to make a move, and looked at Qin Yu coldly. The dragon's soul was murderous. As the master, Qin Yu was also not a good-tempered person. Naturally, he would not tolerate Qin Yu and the others stepping on his nose. Reckless thing, do you still think you're a former genius? Qin Yu grinned and punched towards Qin Yu. The fist energy swept out and his true qi vibrated. Its power was not ordinary. Pah! But just as Qin Yu rushed out, he felt a black shadow in front of him. Then a crisp slap sounded. Qin Yu was directly slapped dozens of meters away. His left face was bruised and swollen. It can't be. This scene, whether it was Qin Shan and the other direct descendants or the branch descendants, they were all dumbfounded. Wasn't it rumored that Qin Yu's martial vein was destroyed and his cultivation scattered? How could he send Qin Yu, who was at LV8 true martial realm, flying with one move? What happened? Even Qin Yu himself was confused. Qin Yu's speed was too fast for him to see clearly. But soon, a burst of pain came from his left face, making Qin Yu come back to his senses. Damn little bastard. Qin Yu's eyes were red with hatred. He ignored the injuries on his body and stood up. His body leaped into the air and crossed more than 10 meters. His hands formed into claws, like an eagle hunting its prey, and viciously clawed at Qin Yu. With one move, there was even a faint tearing sound in the air. 8th grade yellow rank martial skill, Iron Eagle Sky Shattering Claw. Chapter 7. Facing Qin Yu's swift and fierce attacks, Qin Yu only chuckles and charges head-on. Against trash like Qin Yu, he did not even bother to use any martial techniques. You're courting death, lose for me. Qin Yu's smile became even more sinister. He shouted loudly, his hands crossed, and 10 cold claws attacked. Bang! In the next moment, the two met. A low sound of impact was heard, and a tyrannical force swept out. Almost at the same time, a mournful howl resounded. Qin Yu, who had clashed with Qin Yu, was sent flying again. This time, both of his hands were broken, and even the bones were exposed, dripping with blood. It was quite miserable. So strong. Qin Yu's tyrannical strength made the branch family and direct descendants' youth shocked. Among the younger generation of the true martial realm, Qin Yu is already the undisputed number one. But in Qin Yu's hands, he was sent flying twice in a row, which was out of their expectations. Could it be that Qin Yu's cultivation did not completely dissipate like the rumors said? Who else wants to settle accounts with me? Qin Yu looked at the branch family youths. In his dull eyes, there was a faint cold light. Being stared at by Qin Yu, the youths were like frogs being stared at by a snake. They were all terrified and shook their heads. Take this trash and get out of here. Qin Yu was too lazy to argue with them. Brother Qin Yu, your cultivation did not completely dissipate. You could actually defeat Qin Yu with one punch. Seeing Qin Yu and the other branch family members fleeing, Qin Shan and the rest were excited and surrounded them. Disperse, go, and cultivate. Qin Yu waved his hand, and the direct descendant youths were also sent away. All right, Brother Qin Yu, about what Qin Yu said just now. You have to be careful. Qin Shan did not leave, and seriously said, "Great clan elder and the rest, it is very likely that they are coveting the position of young patriarch." This matter, Qin Shan had heard his father mention it a few times. However, because Qin had been in a deep sleep and hadn't reached adulthood, it had been put aside. Now, Qin had just woken up and was about to reach adulthood. It was indeed possible for the branch elders to take advantage of the day when Qin Yu came of age to force Qin Yu to step down. What are the cultivation levels of those bastards from the branch now? Qin Yu didn't really care about the position of young patriarch. After dealing with Shui Yutong's matter, he would leave Dragon Spirit City and head to the Imperial Academy. However, Qin Yu would not agree if the branch faction wanted to force him to step down. Qin Ming is currently the strongest in the younger generation of the branch, said Qin Shan. Half a year ago, he broke through to the 6th Xianqi layer. He must be even stronger now. Qin Ming was the grandson of the first elder. He was 20 this year and had a 5th-grade martial vein. He was 20 years old and had broken through to the 6th Xianqi layer. In Dragon Spirit City, that was already considered outstanding. Don't worry, they won't be able to take away my position. Qin Yu patted Qin Shan's shoulder and smiled. He would give those guys from the branch faction a big surprise during his coming-of-age ceremony. Looking at Qin Yu leaving, Qin Shan felt that Qin Yu's confidence was even stronger than 2 years ago. Not only is he more confident, but he's also more domineering. Only after Qin Yu's silhouette disappeared did Qin Shan come back to his senses. He started to think strangely. In the northern part of the city, the trading market was bustling with people. Qin Yu followed the dragon soul's senses and quickly shuttled through the crowd. In the end, Qin Yu came to the depths of the residential area in the northern part of the city. It was located in a remote area with few people. Dragon Soul, are you sure this is the place? Qin Yu sensed carefully, but he still couldn't sense the aura of the dragon vein. That's right, it must be here. The dragon's soul couldn't hide its excitement as its huge body swayed in the ancient seal. Qin Yu looked to his left and right and then stepped inside. However, at the moment when he entered, Qin Yu faintly sensed an obscure formation array fluctuation. Triple soul sealing array. Qin Yu was skilled in alchemy and array formations in his previous life. He immediately recognized the hidden array formation in the restaurant. The triple soul sealing array used the heaven, earth, and human souls as the foundation and could seal all living things in the world. However, the triple soul sealing array was usually only used under special circumstances. After all, using the triple soul sealing array would consume a lot of soul power. Of course, this also meant that the person who set up this array formation had extremely powerful soul power. Our shop is closed. Please return. Suddenly, an old voice sounded, and an old man in gray hemp clothes appeared. The old man's body was a little stooped. His face was full of wrinkles and was pale from malnutrition. At a glance, he looked no different from the beggars on the roadside. However, Qin Yu was able to sense a powerful energy fluctuation from this old man's body. This old man has the aura of dragon blood on him. It seems to be related to the blazing blood dragon. In the ancient seal, the dragon soul revealed a look of joy. Whether it was the dragon vein or the dragon blood, they were both great supplements. I didn't expect that in this small dragon spirit city, there would be someone who could imprison the dragon vein. Qin Yu, however, sat down. He looked at that hemp-clothed old man indifferently. Boom! Before Qin Yu could finish his words, an aura akin to a raging sea erupted from the old man's body. At this moment, the old man didn't have the slightest bit of illness. He was like a ferocious beast that had been released from its cage. He was incomparably dangerous. Qin Yu's expression didn't change. The ancient seal of the divine dragon in his mind shook slightly, and the pressure on his body completely disappeared. At the same time, the killing intent of the heaven-punishing array in his body was also restless, ready to erupt at any time. This kid, the hemp-robed old man who was about to attack, suddenly felt an extremely dangerous feeling of death. And that terrifying sense of death came from Qin Yu. Who are you? After a moment of bewilderment, the old man also sat down, but kept a certain distance from Qin Yu. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you have something I want, and I have something you need. Qin Yu's face revealed a faint smile. So, maybe we can make a deal. He knew that the killing intent of the heaven-punishing array had successfully suppressed the old man. The old man raised his eyebrows slightly and carefully sized up Qin Yu. Qin Yu's cultivation was clearly revealed in his eyes. He was only at LV5 true martial realm. With this cultivation, he could easily crush him to death. However, the strong sense of death from Qin Yu made him not dare to act rashly. Perhaps he would be able to kill Qin Yu. However, he would likely also die. In the end, it would be a life and death struggle. I don't think you have what I need. The old man retracted his gaze, his expression indifferent. Oh, you're not even interested in a secret method that can restore soul power? Qin Yu curled the corner of his mouth and looked straight at the old man. A secret method that can restore soul power? Gu Yuan was shocked and suddenly stood up. He was extremely emotional. Qin Yu didn't know that the old man in front of him was the famous alchemy master in the Great Eastern region, Gu Yuan. In the entire Great Eastern region, no one dared to say that Gu Yuan's alchemy skills were better than his. However, even if Qin Yu knew, he wouldn't care. He was the Dragon God Emperor. Why would he care about an alchemist from the Great Eastern region? Chapter 8. Now let's talk. Looking at Gu Yuan's face, Qin Yu knew that Gu Yuan's soul power had been greatly depleted. Therefore, the bargaining chip that he threw out was something that Gu Yuan could not reject. Do you really have a secret technique that can recover soul power? Gu Yuan sat down, but he could not hide his excitement. Qi, qi, qi. Qin Yu's fingers surged as he swiped across the table, and a line of ancient words appeared. The origin of all things is the origin of the soul. If the soul is destroyed, it will die. If the soul is flourishing, it will be strong. This line of ancient words was the general outline of the myriad souls technique that the famous sovereign myriad souls had cultivated. Back then, the sovereign myriad souls had coveted the dragon soul, so he had fought with Qin Yu in the boundless deep sea. Since then, the famous sovereign myriad souls had become another great sovereign soul in Qin Yu's hands. This myriad souls technique had also fallen into Qin Yu's hands. All things in the world, as long as there is a spirit, there is a soul. Spirit refinement can fuse the soul, Gu Yuan muttered softly. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that the concept contained in this line of words was as vast as the starry sky. This secret technique should be enough. Qin Yu looked at Gu Yuan indifferently, and only spoke after he had calmed down. What do you want? After seeing the general outline of the myriad souls technique, Gu Yuan could no longer underestimate Qin Yu. Although Qin Yu's cultivation was weak, there was definitely a super force behind him. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to take out such a profound soul path secret technique so casually. I want a demonic beast bloodline that contains dragon blood in your body. Qin Yu went straight to the point. A demonic beast bloodline that contains dragon blood? Gu Yuan thought about it and shook his head. I don't have such a demonic beast bloodline in my body. He did have a lot of treasures, but he did not have a demonic beast bloodline that contained dragon blood. You don't have it? Qin Yu frowned. He did not believe that the dragon soul would sense wrongly. This old man is definitely up to something. The dragon soul's eyes shone with a ferocious light. Why don't I just use my soul domination technique to take over his soul? Don't mess around. Gu Yuan's cultivation far exceeded theirs. If they really wanted to fight, they would have to release the killing intent of the heaven exterminating formation. However, if that happened, both sides would suffer. This was not the result that Qin Yu wanted. These are all the things I have that are related to demonic beasts. Seeing Qin Yu frowning and remaining silent, Gu Yuan could not sit still. With a wave of his right hand, a large pile of spirit items related to demonic beasts appeared on the table. This is... Qin Yu's gaze swept across and landed on a blood-red broken horn. An intense, Blazing blood color spread out from the broken horn, and the temperature of the restaurant rose continuously. Blood flame Qilin. Qin Yu's eyes flashed. The blood flame Qilin beast did indeed possess the bloodline of the Inferno blood dragon. The dragon soul's senses were right. This is the horn of the blood flame Qilin beast. Is this what you want? Gu Yuan's expression turned slightly strange. He now saw that the horn was indeed stained with the blood of the blood flame Qilin beast. However, he had kept the horn in his spatial ring. How did Qin Yu sense it? Where did you get this broken horn of the blood flame Qilin beast? Qin Yu did not care about Gu Yuan's expression. He took the broken horn and looked at it carefully. You want to know the whereabouts of the blood flame Qilin beast? Gu Yuan also understood. It seems like you know. Qin Yu started to smile. It could be said that he did not come here in vain. I do know, but Gu Yuan looked at Qin Yu. Are you sure you want to use this secret technique to exchange for the whereabouts of the blood flame Qilin beast? In Gu Yuan's opinion, not to mention the whereabouts of the blood flame Qilin beast, even a complete blood flame Qilin beast was far inferior to this soul Dao secret technique. The whereabouts of the blood flame Qilin beast is only the first condition. Qin Yu said, the second condition is that I need half of the dragon vein energy. That's impossible. Gu Yuan's expression changed, and he rejected directly. Are you sure you don't want to consider it? Qin Yu looked at Gu Yuan. If you really want the dragon vein Qi, we can only end our conversation here. Gu Yuan looked at the general outline of the myriad soul technique. Although he was reluctant, his tone was very firm. As expected, I still have to use force. Hearing this, the dragon's soul could no longer hold back. In that case, tell me the whereabouts of the blood flame Qilin beast. However, to the dragon soul's surprise, Qin Yu took a deep look at Gu Yuan and actually agreed. The blood flame Qilin beast is hidden in the fog swamp to the west of the city, said Gu Yuan as he looked at Qin Yu with a slightly surprised expression. Fog swamp. Qin Yu immediately informed the dragon's soul. What the hell? Why did you agree to him just like that? The dragon soul was still a little confused. Stop talking nonsense and sense it quickly, Qin Yu said. Hearing this, a strange black light appeared on the dragon soul's huge head, facing the west of Dragon Spirit City. This was the dragon soul's secret technique. At its peak, it could even sense all the dragon blood aura in a world instantly. Although it's very weak, it's indeed the fluctuation of the blood flame Qilin beast. The dragon's soul quickly sensed it. That blood flame Qilin beast cultivation has already reached the sky martial realm. Gu Yuan spoke once more and reminded him. Qin Yu nodded slightly, and energy flowed from his fingertips continuously across the table. After a few breaths, the mental cultivation method of the myriad soul technique to recover soul power was engraved. After the transaction was completed, Qin Yu did not stay any longer and left the restaurant. Gu Yuan watched as Qin Yu left, and a look of contemplation flashed in his eyes. Knowing that he needed a secret technique to recover soul power, he should know his origin. But why didn't he mention any conditions? After all, as a famous alchemy grandmaster in the Great Eastern region, he had countless treasures on him. Could it be that he was just here to test his current state? What are you planning? The dragon soul in the dragon god ancient seal was still puzzled by Qin Yu's decision. Exchanging a sovereign's cultivation method for the whereabouts of a demonic beast was not Qin Yu's style. I'm not planning anything. I'm just making some preparations for the future. Qin Yu looked back at the restaurant where Gu Yuan was and smiled. What about the dragon vein? The dragon soul could not let go of the dragon vein, which was a great supplement for him. Forget about the dragon vein for now. Now we have to think of a way to deal with that blood flame Qilin. Previously, the 10 drops of bloodline power from the bloodthirsty thunder python had awakened the dragon soul and made Qin use cultivation soar. Now a sky martial realm blood flame Qilin would be of great help to them. It wasn't easy to find a dragon vein, and you're letting it go just like that. The dragon soul's face was full of unwillingness. Qin Yu ignored the dragon soul and strolled around the trading market, buying hundreds of spiritual herbs and spiritual materials. After returning to the Qin clan, Qin Yu closed the door and took out spiritual herbs and cauldron from his sumaru pouch. Stalk after stalk of spirit herbs were quickly thrown into the cauldron and refined into spirit pills. The speed of refining pills was so fast that even Gu Yuan would be dumbfounded if he saw it. In less than 4 hours, the hundreds of spiritual herbs were all refined into spiritual pills. Moreover, each of the spiritual pills that Qin Yu refined had formed elixir veins, and their medicinal effects were perfect. In the next 5 days, Qin Yu did not go out and cultivate it in seclusion. With the help of a large number of spiritual pills, Qin Yu's cultivation broke through 3 levels and entered LV8 of the true martial realm. Finally, the day of Qin Yu's coming-of-age ceremony arrived. Chapter 9. Xiao Yu. Today's coming-of-age ceremony. The branch family will definitely challenge you. Don't accept the challenge. Let me handle it. Before dawn, Qin Tianhu came looking for Qin Yu and said solemnly, "Looks like those people from the branch family are really planning to take my position today." Qin Yu, dressed in a white robe, tidied up his clothes with an indifferent expression. That's right. The great elder suddenly brought up this matter yesterday, and almost all the elders agreed. Qin Tianhu's expression was not good. Even the elders from the direct line of descent agreed. This was out of his expectations. Of course, he also knew that with Qin Yu's current situation, the elders from the direct line of descent could only agree. "Second uncle, don't worry, I know what to do." Qin Yu lightly smiled. There was not the slightest bit of worry in his expression. "Qin clan, the great elder's loft. Big brother, today you must teach Qin Yu, that trash, a lesson for me." The one who spoke was Qin Yu, with his hands wrapped in bandages and his face full of resentment. "As long as he dares to accept the challenge, I will make him walk and leave lying down." In front of Qin Yu was a youth in a green robe with a cold and arrogant expression. He was Qin Yu's big brother, Qin Ming, currently the strongest person in the younger generation of the Qin clan. "However, you were actually injured by him. This is too disappointing." Qin Ming looked at Qin Yu, frowned, and lectured. "Ugh, I don't know what method that kid used." Qin Yu was speechless. Ever since he lost to Qin Yu, he became the laughingstock of the entire clan. Qin Yu's martial vein disappeared, and his cultivation dispersed. This was something that everyone knew. Who would have thought that he would be seriously injured by Qin Yu in just 2 moves? This naturally won't make people think that Qin Yu is very formidable. They will only say that Qin Yu is too much of a good-for-nothing. "Ming, today's matter concerns whether our branch family can completely turn over a new leaf. So no matter what happens, you must obtain the position of the young patriarch." At this moment, the first elder, whose face was full of wrinkles but had a rosy complexion, seemed to be in a very good mood. "With my current strength, even if he was at his peak, I would still be able to fight him, let alone now that he has lost all of his cultivation." The arrogance on Qin Ming's face grew. The first elder's old face was full of smiles. Obviously, he was very confident in Qin Ming's strength. As dawn broke and the sunlight scattered across the land, the Qin clan became extremely lively. The servants and maids were busy, and the members of the direct line of descent and the branch families had all gathered at the martial arts practice square. Other than the Qin family, there were only a few spies from the other forces in the city. If Qin Yu still had his talent, his coming-of-age ceremony would definitely cause a stir among countless forces. But now, not many forces were paying attention to it. Patriarch, the Grand Elder, who led the branch clan members here, put on a fake smile and cupped his fists together. "Great Elder," Qin Tianhu replied indifferently. The smell of gunpowder between the direct descendants and the branch descendants was extremely strong. They didn't see eye to eye with each other. "The young patriarch's complexion looks so good. I'm sure he is fully recovered." The Grand Elder rolled his eyes and looked at Qin Yu beside Qin Tianhu with a strange smile. Qin Yu did not even bother to pay attention to this old man. His gaze landed on Qin Ming. Profound martial realm level 8. Qin Yu saw through Qin Ming's cultivation with a single glance. Qin Ming was a whole level higher than him. The Grand Elder's face sank and his eyes turned gloomy. He gave Qin Ming a hidden look. Qin Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. This old man and those ants clearly want to kill you. Why don't we just kill them to prevent any trouble in the future? The dragon soul was very sensitive to killing intent, and it immediately sensed the killing intent of the Grand Elder and Qin Ming towards Qin Yu. Let them jump around for a few days. Qin Yu's eyes flashed with a cold light. The young patriarch's coming-of-age ceremony will now begin. Being held by an elder of the clan, Qin Yu ascends the high platform and completes a series of rituals, such as worshipping the ancestors. After a full 2 hours, the ceremony finally ended. Elders, we have already discussed the matter yesterday. The position of a young patriarch is chosen by the future patriarch. Only those with absolute talent and strength can become the young patriarch. Therefore, the position of the young patriarch has to be chosen again. According to the rules of the clan, if the position of a young patriarch changes, it has to be done in front of the ancestors, and the winner will become the young patriarch. As soon as the coming-of-age ceremony was over, the great elder stood up impatiently. That is indeed the rule of the clan, but both sides have to agree. Qin Tianhu looked at the Grand Elder and said coldly, "Qin Yu, if you don't dare accept the challenge, get the hell down here. Don't embarrass yourself on the stage. That's not a place for trash like you." Qin Ming stood up. He looked at Qin Yu with a sneer on his face. "How dare you?" Qin Tianhu was furious when Qin Ming said that Qin Yu was trash in front of him. He smashed the tea table with his palm, and his aura was like that of an angry lion. Qin Ming's face paled in front of Qin Tianhu's aura, as if he would be killed at any moment. "Qin Tianhu, as the patriarch of the Qin clan, are you going to make a move on the genius of the clan?" The first elder let out a cold snort as his aura suddenly erupted. He was in the 7th level of the Earth Martial Realm, and his cultivation was only 1 level lower than Qin Tianhu's. Of course, the Grand Elder was already old, and his cultivation could only stop there. However, Qin Tianhu was in his prime, and he had a high chance of entering the Sky Martial Realm. "Qin Ming, you want to challenge me?" At this moment, Qin Yu, who was standing on the stage, had his hands around his chest and was looking down at Qin Ming from above. "That's right. Do you dare to accept the challenge?" A proud expression appears on Qin Ming's face. He looks at Qin Yu with disdain. The trash that didn't even dare to speak in front of me 2 years ago actually dares to challenge me now. Qin Yu lightly smiled. The ridicule in his words was obvious. Trash. The corner of Qin Ming's eyes twitched as he leaped onto the stage. Before Qin Yu awakened his martial vein, Qin Ming was the #1 genius of the clan. But ever since Qin Yu displayed his talent, he has been advancing triumphantly all the way. Qin Ming has completely become a peripheral figure. This caused Qin Ming's hatred towards Qin Yu to be no less than Qin Yu's. "Qin Yu, if you don't dare to accept the challenge, then get lost. If you accept the challenge, then let's fight and see who's the trash." Qin Ming's eyes were as cold as a poisonous snake as he stared at Qin Yu. "Since you want to prove that you're trash, then I'll fulfill your wish." Qin Yu's expression did not change as he faced Qin Ming with a distance of 10 meters. "Xiao Yu." Qin Tianhu's face changed. He never expected that Qin Yu would accept the challenge. "The position of a young patriarch is in our hands." A smug smile appeared on the Grand Elder's face. After obtaining the position of a young patriarch, the position of the patriarch would most likely belong to their branch. "Let's begin." The Grand Elder who held the ceremony was now the judge. "Lose for me." With a gloomy and cold look in his eyes, Qin Ming ruthlessly takes a step forward. His body shoots towards Qin Yu like an arrow. Looking at his appearance, he seemed to be planning to defeat Qin Yu in one move. Chapter 10. Xian Martial Realm Level 8. Qin Ming's cultivation has actually reached such a level. If this goes on, our clan will have another Earth Martial Arts Realm expert in a few years. Sensing the tyrannical aura emitted from Qin Ming's body, many of the clan elders were moved. Currently, none of the 3 great clans had a Sky Martial Realm expert. Therefore, the Earth Martial Realm was a bargaining chip to measure the strength of each clan. Whichever clan had more Earth Martial Realm experts would have a certain advantage in many matters. Hearing the discussions around him, the first elder's face became even more proud. Qin Tianyu's gaze was fixed on Qin Yu. If Qin Yu was in danger, he would immediately save him. Lose? With just you? Qin Yu lightly smiled as he stood there. The gaze with which he looked at Qin Ming contained undisguised contempt. Little bastard, let's see how you can laugh later. Qin Ming's face twitched. Qin Yu's gaze was exactly the same as his arrogant attitude 2 years ago. This made Qin Ming even angrier. The true qi in his body whistled as it merged into his fists. 100 shadow, demonic steps. Seeing that Qin Ming's fists were about to hit him, Qin Yu's feet suddenly moved in a strange footwork. His figure flashed, and 4 lifelike afterimages appeared. This was a rank 9 heaven-ranked martial skill that Qin Yu had mastered in his previous life. 100 shadow, demonic steps. If the 100 shadow demonic steps was cultivated to the peak, one could create hundreds of afterimages in an instant. With Qin Yu's current cultivation, he could only create 4 afterimages. However, these 4 afterimages were difficult to distinguish, and Qin Ming was already at a loss. What a profound movement technique! Many of the elders exclaimed. Even with their eyesight, they couldn't see through the rank of Qin Yu's movement technique. Bang! Before Qin Ming could react, Qin Yu quickly closed in and ruthlessly slapped his face. Immediately, Qin Ming was sent flying back at the same speed as the speed of his attack. He tumbled a few times on the battle arena before he fell to the ground in an extremely sorry state, unable to get up. How is this possible? The first elder, who originally had a complacent smile on his face, stared blankly at Qin Ming, who was sent flying. 8th level of true martial realm. Qin Tianhu was also in a daze. When Qin Yu attacked just now, he could clearly sense Qin Yu's cultivation. Didn't Qin Yu's martial vein disappear and his cultivation dissipated? What's going on? Could it be that his martial vein is still intact? The elders of the family, whether they were direct descendants or branch descendants, were all shocked and whispered to each other. Below the stage, the faces of Qin Yu and the other branch faction youths froze. This scene was exactly the same as the scene of him being sent flying a few days ago. The only difference was that the one who had been sent flying was Qin Ming, who had broken through to the 8th Xian martial layer. Brother Qin Yu is amazing. Qin Shan and the other direct descendants were naturally elated. Patriarch, Qin Yu. No, young Patriarch's cultivation hasn't completely dissipated. At this moment, many elders came back to their senses and looked at Qin Tianhu. If Qin Yu's talent was still intact, then the position of young Patriarch couldn't be changed. This stinking brat even hid it from me. When Qin Tianhu saw this, he put on an unfathomable expression. But in reality, he didn't know anything either. That's not right. Even if young Patriarch's cultivation recovered to the 8th Xian martial realm, how could he send Qin Ming flying with one palm? Soon, some of the elders calmed down from their shock and noticed this illogical scene. The rest of the elders came to their senses. Qin Ming's cultivation was indeed in the 8th Xian martial realm. There was an entire level difference between the two of them. So how could Qin Ming lose? Impossible. How could you hit me? This is impossible. Qin Ming, whose right cheek was swollen, stood up and stared at Qin Yu as if he had gone mad. He roared in anger. Nothing is impossible. This only means that even if you have cultivation, you're still a piece of trash. Qin Yu still had a faint smile on his face. Little bastard. 5 elements consecutive palm. Qin Ming roared in anger. True Qi revolved around his hands as he attacked with a ferocious expression. This time, Qin Ming was clearly going all out. His true Qi surged, and his aura was astonishing. 8 Desolation, Lightning Seal. Qin Yu took a step forward, and his figure flickered again, making it impossible for Qin Ming to see him. In the next moment, Qin Yu's palm landed on Qin Ming's body, and a flickering lightning seal exploded from his palm. It was the Scarlet Lightning Python's innate skill. Bang! A violent explosion sounded out. Qin Ming's entire body trembled violently as he was sent flying once again. This time, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Menger, Qin Ba, Qin Meng's father, immediately rushed to the stage to check on Qin Meng's injuries. Little bastard, you actually used such a heavy hand. Qin Ba suddenly raised his head, and the killing intent in his eyes soared. Qin Meng's internal organs were all heavily injured, and his sternum was almost completely broken. Without half a year of recuperation, it would be impossible for him to recover. And in this half a year of recuperation, it would be impossible for him to cultivate again. He's not dead yet. You should be thanking me for being lenient. Qin Yu lightly smiled. I'll kill you. With an intense killing intent, Qin Ba suddenly charged toward Qin Yu. Although Qin Ba's talent was ordinary, he was still at the peak of the profound martial realm. This attack was like 10,000 horses galloping, causing the air to tremble. Qin Meng, you dare? Qin Tianhu did not expect that Qin Ba would actually dare to make a move. He roared and charged out like lightning. But at this moment, a figure flew through the air. It was the first elder with a cold expression who blocked Qin Tianhu. He might not be able to defeat Qin Tianhu, but he could stall him for a moment. With Qin Ba's cultivation, as long as he could stall him for a moment, Qin Yu would definitely have nowhere to run. Qin Haley, if anything happens to Xiao Yu, I'll kill you first before exterminating your entire family. Qin Tianhu's killing intent soared to the heavens. His blazing true qi was like a surging river, causing him to be as terrifying as a volcano. The first elder remained unmoved as he did his best to stop Qin Tianhu. Although there was a difference in cultivation, it wouldn't be that easy for Qin Tianhu to kill him. You're courting death. Seeing Qin Ba charging over like an enraged lion, Qin Yu's eyes flashed with killing intent as he executed the 100 Shadows' demonic footprints once again. Boom! Qin Ba only felt a gust of wind blowing before his eyes as he felt a boundless force bombarding his dantian, directly shattering the berserk true qi in his body. So fast, just as the incomparably shocked Qin Ba was about to withdraw and retreat, an iron hand that seemed to be cast from steel grabbed his throat with lightning-like speed, causing him to be unable to move in the slightest. This sudden turn of events caused everyone in the Qin family to be dumbfounded. After Qin Meng was heavily injured by Qin Yu, even Qin Ba, who was at the pinnacle of the profound martial realm, was like a weak chicken being grabbed by Qin Yu. He could lose his life at any moment. Dealing with someone at the profound martial realm like a child, who the hell said that Qin Yu's cultivation had dissipated? This was clearly more frightening than when he was at his peak 2 years ago. Even Qin Tianhu and the First Elder, who were fighting fiercely, unconsciously stopped. What are you trying to do? Qin Ba, whose neck was being grabbed by Qin Yu, felt his heart trembling as he looked at Qin Yu's indifferent eyes. Qin Yu's gaze was incomparably cold, as if he was looking at a dead man. What am I trying to do? Provoking me one after another. Do you really think that I won't kill? Before Qin Ba could finish his words, Qin Yu's 5 fingers tightened. Crack! Qin Ba, who was at the pinnacle of the profound martial realm, had his neck crushed. This scene caused the entire Qin family to fall into silence. Qin Ba could be considered a top figure in the Qin family, but right now he was actually killed by Qin Yu like a little chicken. Chapter 11. Bang! Qin Yu loosened his grip, and Qin Ba fell to the ground. He did not kill Qin Meng because it was only a duel. However, Qin Ba had launched a sneak attack and obviously wanted to kill him. Therefore, Qin Yu would not show any mercy to Qin Ba and directly killed him. A crazy howl of grief sounded out. It was the great elder who had personally witnessed Qin Ba's death. He rushed to the stage with a face full of grief and anger. However, there was someone who reacted faster than him. Qin Tianhu had already rushed to Qin Yu's side. Qin Yu, you dare to kill my son. If I don't kill you in this life, I'm not a human. The great elder hugged Qin Ba's corpse and stared at Qin Yu with hatred. Qin Yu's gaze turned cold as the killing intent of the heaven-punishing array began to stir. a group of things that are courting death. The dragon soul's huge body surged within the ancient seal as killing intent filled the air. Umph. Great Elder, this was your son who launched a sneak attack. He can't blame anyone for his death. Qin Tianhu stood in front of Qin Yu with a cold gaze. If Qin Yu had fallen into Qin Ba's hands, his ending would not have been good. Therefore, even if Qin Yu did not kill him, Qin Tianhu would not let him go. Good, very good. Qin Tianhu, don't regret this. The Great Elder looked at Qin Tianhu with a sinister gaze before leaving with Qin Ba and Qin Meng's corpses. Qin Tianhu was not afraid at all. At this point, Qin Yu's coming-of-age ceremony had ended and no one dared to covet his position as the young patriarch. However, because of this, the Qin clan's direct descendants and branches had completely fallen out with each other. The eyes and ears of the various factions that had come to watch the battle quickly left. What happened to the Qin family today had greatly exceeded their expectations. It was rumored that Qin Yu, whose cultivation was crippled, not only displayed the cultivation of rank 8 true martial realm, he also heavily injured Qin Meng, who was at rank 8 profound martial realm. Afterwards, he killed Qin Ba, who was at the peak of the profound martial realm. Such a terrifying fighting strength was absolutely enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with an ordinary warrior of the earth martial arts realm. Could it be that the news about the disappearance of the Qin clan's martial veins and cultivation was fake? Of course, other than Qin Yu, many forces in Dragon Spirit City also had their own thoughts about the split between the Qin family's direct and branch families. If the Qin clan really split up because of this, their strength would be greatly reduced. At that time, their opportunity would come. Qin family, study room. Xiaoyu, how did you reach LV8 of the true martial realm? Wasn't your martial vein taken away? Qin Tianhu did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. It's like this. A few days ago, I met a senior. He taught me a secret method to condense void veins instead of martial veins. Then he used the secret method to raise my cultivation to LV8 genuine martial realm. Qin Yu said casually, Void Meridian? Can it really replace the cultivation of martial veins? Qin Tianhu was pleasantly surprised. In the past 2 years, he had been running around for Qin Yu's martial vein, trying to find a way to cure it, but to no avail. If what Qin Yu said was true, then this secret method was too terrifying. Of course it's true. Qin Yu asked Qin Tianhu to check the void dragon vein in his body. Second uncle, that senior said that we can't reveal his existence to others. Otherwise, not only me, but the entire Qin clan will be in big trouble. However, right after that, Qin Yu started to seriously bullshit again. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. As for the others, just tell them that your martial vein has recovered. Qin Tianhu's face turned serious. The senior who could help Qin Yu condense the void martial vein and recover his cultivation to this level in just a few days was definitely not an ordinary person. By the way, can your void meridian continue to replace the martial vein? Qin Tianhu asked worriedly. Of course not. So I have to take my martial vein back from Shui Yutong. Qin Yu said. What do you plan to do? Qin Tianhu looked at Qin Yu solemnly. He knew that since Qin Yu had said so, he would definitely do something. Once Qin Yu took back the martial vein from Shui Yutong, the Shui clan would definitely not let it go. At that time, the two clans would definitely fight. Even so, Qin Tianhu would fully support Qin Yu. I will take care of Shui Yutong's matter myself. Qin Yu shook his head and took out a cultivation technique for Qin Tianhu. Second uncle, this is the mix yuan technique that senior gave me. It's a 9th grade heaven rank cultivation technique. Hurry up and cultivate this cultivation technique. Today, Qin Yu had killed Qin Ba, so the Qin clan would not let it go. Once the two of them fought, the entire Qin clan would be in danger. However, if Qin Yu's cultivation reached the sky martial realm, then everything would be solved. A 9th grade heaven rank cultivation technique. Qin Tianhu's eyes were burning. The highest grade cultivation technique in the Qin clan was only 8th grade earth rank. This was also the reason why Qin Tianhu's cultivation had been stuck in the 8th level of the earth martial realm. The limit of a cultivator's cultivation was largely determined by their cultivation technique. This was also the reason why many forces would send their clansmen to various sects to cultivate. Now that he had such a cultivation technique, Qin Tianhu was confident that he could reach the Sky Martial Realm within a year. After all, he had been in the 8th level of the Earth Martial Realm for many years. South of the city, Shui clan. What did you say? Not only is Qin Yu in the 8th level of the true martial realm, but he also killed Qin Ba. Shui Yu was stunned when he heard the news from the Qin clan. Shui Yu Tong, who was beside him, was also dumbfounded. Qin Yu clearly doesn't have a martial vein. How can he still be in the 8th level of the true martial realm? Shui Yu questioned in disbelief. About that, this old servant does not know. However, that Qin Yu's cultivation is indeed real. It has already spread through the entire Dragon Spirit City. The butler of the Shui clan replied, "Could it be that he has awakened his martial vein for the second time?" Shui Yutong couldn't help but gasp at the thought. If he could awaken his martial vein for the second time, it meant that Qin Yu was a peerless genius with dual martial veins. That's impossible, right? A peerless genius with dual martial veins is extremely rare even in the history of the Shui clan. Shui Yu looked uneasy. If Qin Yu was really a genius with dual martial veins, then he would be a huge threat to them in the future. After all, the two sides had already formed a blood feud over their martial veins. "Father, it seems like our plan has to be brought forward." A cold, killing intent flashed in Shui Yutong's eyes. "I'll go prepare now." Shui Yu also had a cold, killing intent on his face. It seemed like Qin Yu had to die. West of the city, the Ma clan. Wasn't it said that Qin Yu's martial vein disappeared? What's going on? In the hall, Ma Junlong, the head of the Ma clan, frowned when he heard the news about the Qin clan. Ma Junlong was in his early 40s, and his cultivation had reached LV8 of the Earth Martial Realm. However, his right arm had disappeared, and there was only a hole in his sleeve. "Father, if Qin Yu's talent hasn't disappeared, then the Ma clan will be in danger." Ma Yifei, the young master of the Ma clan, said coldly beside Ma Junlong. Ma Yifei was 18 years old, and his cultivation had reached LV8 of the profound martial realm. His talent was also quite shocking. Indeed, once the Shui clan hears about this, it's very likely that they will form a marriage alliance with the Qin clan again. At that time, Ma Junlong frowned even more. "Master, the Shui clan sent a secret letter." A Ma clan cultivator entered the hall. A secret letter from a Shui clan? Ma Junlong and Ma Yifei looked at each other and found it strange. Ma Junlong was shocked when he opened the letter. Chapter 12. In the Qin clan's residence. Qin Yu sits down with legs crossed. He places his hands on his knees and assumes the posture of 5 hearts toward the sky. In the air, strands of pure spiritual qi were crazily swept over, devoured, and refined. Inside Qin Yu's body, there was a boundless medicinal power rolling about like numerous fierce horses galloping. "Break!" At a certain moment, Qin Yu suddenly shouts in a low voice. His internal energy surges out, and the white fan on his body flutters. There was a cracking sound as the whirlpool in Qin Yu's body shook violently and expanded. Profound martial realm. Qin Yu only stopped cultivating when the whirlpool expanded hundreds of times and turned into a sea of spiritual energy. 7 days after the coming-of-age ceremony, Qin Yu finally broke through to the profound martial realm with the help of a large number of spiritual pills. In less than half a month, he went from not even a trace of cultivation to the profound martial realm. This speed was shocking. However, Qin Yu also knows that even without dragon blood, he was still able to cultivate so fast. It was because his cultivation had reached the half-step Earth martial realm in the past. In other words, his current cultivation could be said to be recovering his cultivation. Can we go to the Misty Swamp now? The dragon soul in the vast, ancient seal space couldn't wait. Qin Yu was able to become stronger through training. However, as a soul body, before he managed to condense a dragon's body, he had to borrow the power of the dragon's blood. It's about time. Qin Yu nodded and left the residence. He walked out of the Qin clan and went to the market. After buying many spiritual materials and rare poisons, Qin Yu prepared to leave the city. He naturally had to be well prepared to deal with a heaven martial realm blood flame Qilin. However, right after Qin Yu turned around, he saw several silhouettes walking out from a medicine store. The two people leading that group of people also saw Qin Yu. They were both startled. Shui Yutong and Ma Yifei. The two of them were the Shui clan's genius, Shui Yutong, and the Ma clan's young master, Ma Yifei. The Shui family and the Ma family are working together. Qin Yu frowned. When the Shui family first came to Dragon Spirit City, they were almost wiped out by the Ma family. The hatred between the two families was not shallow. Now, the most outstanding disciples of the two families were actually mingling together. This was not good news for the Qin family. After all, the Qin family and the Ma family were sworn enemies who had always wanted to destroy each other. This was especially true for Ma Junlong, the current head of the Ma family. He hated the Qin family to the core. As for the reason, it was because Qin Yu's father had cut off his right arm, causing his cultivation to be unable to advance at all. He had been stuck in the earth martial realm. Qin Yu. Killing intent flashed in Ma Yifei's eyes as he walked towards Qin Yu. Brother Qin Yu, long time no see. Seeing Qin Yu looking at her indifferently, Shui Yutong's expression changed slightly, and she walked over. For some reason, although she had already become a prodigy, standing in front of Qin Yu again, Shui Yutong's heart inexplicably trembled. This was not because she felt guilty for snatching Qin Yu's martial vein, but a deep reverence from the bottom of her heart. The high-spirited Qin Yu back then had left a deep impression on her. As a result, she still could not bring out her confidence in front of Qin Yu. Look, that's Qin Yu from the Qin family, Shui Yutong from the Shui family, and Ma Yifei from the Ma family. The three of them actually met. It looks like something bad is going to happen. If the geniuses of the three families fight, it will be interesting to watch. The meeting of Qin Yu, Shui Yutong, and Ma Yifei immediately attracted the attention of countless martial artists passing by. Shui Yutong, I've really underestimated you. After doing such a despicable thing, you can still stand in front of me as if nothing happened. Qin Yu's gaze was as cold as a sword. Shui Yutong's gaze darkened, and a trace of killing intent flashed in her eyes. What she was most worried about was that Qin Yu would spread the news that she had snatched his martial vein. In half a month, the Imperial Sacred Academy would come to recruit students. If these rumors spread to the Imperial Sacred Academy, it would be a great stain on her future development in the Imperial Sacred Academy. Despicable thing? Brother Qin Yu, do you have some misunderstanding about me? Why don't we find a place to talk? Shui Yutong restrained the killing intent in her eyes and suggested with a smile. I think this place is pretty good. There's no need to change places. Qin Yu glanced at the two Earth Martial Arts realm martial artists beside Shui Yutong without leaving a trace. If not for these two Earth Martial Arts realm martial artists, Qin Yu would not have been able to resist making a move. Although Shui Yutong was also in the Earth Martial Arts realm, Qin Yu was not afraid of facing an Earth Martial Arts realm martial artist alone. However, if three Earth Martial Arts realm martial artists joined forces, he would have to pay a great price to kill them. Well, I'll get straight to the point. As for the cancellation of our engagement, it was your second uncle who personally went to my house to cancel it. As for the reason, I think you should know. It's because you probably wouldn't have woken up at that time. Shui Yutong's gaze changed, and she said, "What I want to talk about is not the engagement between us, but my martial vein." Before Qin Yu finished speaking, Shui Yutong's expression changed, and she shouted, "Qin Yu, you'd better think about some things before you say them. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious." At this time, Shui Yutong's eyes were cold, and her face was as cold as ice. The two Earth Martial Arts realm martial artists behind Shui Yutong took half a step forward quietly. "The consequences will be very serious?" Qin Yu smiled. A mere Earth Martial Arts realm martial artist dared to threaten him. In half a month, the Imperial Sacred Academy will come to the city to recruit students. I think you know about this. To tell you the truth, I've already been accepted as a disciple by an inner court elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy. The recruitment test is just a formality. So if you know what's good for you, you'd better watch your mouth. Otherwise, you'll bring disaster to yourself and even your family. Seeing that Qin Yu didn't take it seriously, Shui Yu Tong snorted coldly. The threat in her words was obvious. Shui Yu Tong was accepted as a disciple by an inner court elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy. The Shui family is going to take off. Yeah, in the future, Dragon Spirit City will probably be dominated by the Shui family alone. Hearing Shui Yu Tong's words, the surrounding martial artists all exclaimed in surprise. The Imperial Sacred Academy was a giant force in the true martial dynasty. Any one of the elders in it was an expert who dominated a region. There was no need to even mention the core elders of the Inner Institute. It sounds amazing. Shui Yu Tong, the reason you were accepted as a disciple by an elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy is because of your 9th grade martial vein, right? Qin Yu chuckled and emphasized the words 9th grade martial vein. Shui Yu Tong's eyes suddenly turned gloomy, but she didn't say anything. She was afraid of provoking Qin Yu and revealing everything. Do you think I'll let it go just because you took something that belongs to me? Qin Yu asked. Then what do you want? Shui Yu Tong's face turned even colder. In half a month, during the recruitment test of the Imperial Sacred Academy, you and I will fight to the death. After the battle, everything that happened before will be forgotten. Qin Yu's eyes were like lightning as he looked straight at Shui Yu Tong. Do you dare? Fight to the death in half a month. Shui Yu Tong was stunned for a moment before a disdainful sneer appeared on her face. Why wouldn't I dare? Very good. Qin Yu chuckled and prepared to leave. Chapter 13. Qin Yu, you're only at the 8th level of the true martial realm. How dare you challenge Miss Yu Tong to a battle of life and death? You're overestimating yourself. At this moment, Ma Yifei, who had been ignored by Qin Yu since the beginning, spoke with a cold smile. Who are you? Qin Yu looked at Ma Yifei from top to bottom. He then turned around and looked at Shui Yu Tong. Your new servant. Qin Yu, you're courting death. Ma Yifei's face turned red when he heard Qin Yu's insults. His true qi exploded from his body, bringing with it a hurricane as he slapped at Qin Yu's head. Hurricane Palm, a grade 5 profound martial technique. Qin Yu looked at Ma Yifei coldly as his true qi surged in his true qi. Stop. No one is allowed to fight in the market. Are you trying to provoke the city lord's mansion? But at this moment, a dignified voice rang out as a group of fully armed guards walked over. They were the city lord's mansion's guards, used to suppress the market. Of course, if it weren't for the fact that the young masters of the 3 major clans were involved in the conflict, they wouldn't have bothered. After the fight, they would be able to get a large sum of ransom money if they were captured. I'll be waiting for you in half a month. Don't be afraid to come. Qin Yu retracted his true qi, glanced at Shui Yu Tong, and left. You're courting death. Shui Yu Tong looked coldly at Qin Yu, killing intent surging in her eyes. Qin Yu thought that he could fight against her after killing Qin Ba, who was at the peak of the profound martial realm. He was overestimating himself. Miss Yu Tong, I'll go back first. I'll come find you when my father decides to join forces. Ma Yifei said to Shui Yu Tong with an unsightly expression before leaving with his guards. Once we get rid of the Qin clan, it'll be your Ma clan's turn. However, Ma Yifei didn't notice that Shui Yu Tong's eyes were filled with killing intent as she looked at him. The Shui clan's plan was to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Shui Yu Tong and Ma Yifei have a very strong desire to kill you. Could it be that the 2 of them want to join forces to destroy your Qin family? Inside the divine dragon seal, the dragon soul said to Qin Yu, "That's possible." A cold light flashed in Qin Yu's eyes. When he saw Shui Yu Tong and Ma Yifei, he already had this guess. In my opinion, we should have just killed them and taken back the martial vein. Why wait for half a month? The dragon soul said with killing intent. Although Qin Yu's cultivation speed was already considered fast, In the eyes of the dragon soul, it was still too slow. Qin Yu slightly smiled. He did not say anything. The reason why he proposed a duel to the death in half a month during the Imperial Academy's enrollment. Firstly, he didn't have absolute confidence that he would succeed. Secondly, he wanted to knock Shui Yutong off her pedestal in front of everyone. Back then, Shui Yutong had taken away his martial vein, turning him from a famous genius to a cripple. Half a month later, he wanted Shui Yutong to have a taste of her own medicine. After returning to the Qin family, Qin Yu carefully concocted several different colored medicinal liquids. Apart from that, he also engraved various formations. These were all prepared for the blood flame Qilin. After making all the preparations, Qin Yu silently left the Qin family and headed west outside the city. Someone is following us. 2 in the 3rd level of the Earth Martial Realm, and 8 at the peak of the profound Martial Realm. But not long after leaving the city gate, the dragon's soul immediately sensed them. Just in time, I was worried about not having a suitable blood sacrifice. A cold smile appeared on Qin Yu's face as he quickly arrived at the fog swamp that Gu Yuan had mentioned. The foggy swamp covered an area of several hundred miles. It was so thick that one couldn't even see their fingers in front of them. The most dangerous thing here wasn't the fog, but the swamp hidden in the fog. After entering the fog, Qin Yu immediately sensed a blazing aura in the air. There's an underground fire vein here. Qin Yu came to a realization. No wonder there was a blood flame Qilin here. If there's an underground fire vein, you can cultivate the fire lightning dragon physique, said the dragon soul that sensed the blood flame Qilin's location. That will depend on the power of the earth fire vein. The fire lightning dragon physique was a body-refining technique of the dragon race. When cultivated to the peak, one would have the strength of 10 dragons, and one's physical strength could reach 1,000,000. At this moment, the 10 people following Qin Yu immediately charged in when they saw him enter the fog swamp. But in the blink of an eye, Qin Yu had already disappeared. Split up. We must find him. The 2 Earth Martial Realm cultivators in the lead waved their hands, and the 10 people immediately split up. Whoosh! But not long after they split up, a gust of wind appeared beside one of the profound Martial Realm cultivators. Before that profound Martial Realm cultivator could understand what was happening, he felt a sharp pain in his forehead and blood flowed out. Qin Yu put the corpse into his sumaru pouch without any hesitation. Like a ghost, he disappeared. Soon, under Qin Yu's hunt, the profound Martial Realm cultivators were silently killed one by one. There's danger. When Qin Yu quietly approached an Earth Martial Realm cultivator, that Earth Martial Realm cultivator suddenly sensed him and immediately went on guard. Whoosh! A black light flashed, and a figure charged out of the fog at the Earth Martial Realm cultivator. Die! The Earth Martial Realm cultivator unsheathed his sword, and a cold sword chi enveloped the figure. With a puffing sound, the figure exploded, turning into chaotic spiritual chi that wantonly spread out. Not good. Seeing this, the Earth Martial Realm cultivator's pupils constricted and his hair stood on end. But he didn't have the chance to escape. Almost as soon as he attacked, Qin Yu appeared behind him. The dagger that reflected a cold light turned into a cold stream of light and stabbed into the Earth Martial Realm cultivator's forehead. True chi swept in and wreaked havoc. An Earth Martial Realm cultivator died at the hands of Qin Yu. Phew! I can't use Phantom Doppelganger with my profound Martial Realm cultivation. Beads of sweat appeared on Qin Yu's face as he gasped for breath. Phantom Doppelganger was a king-level martial skill. After learning it, one could condense a true essence doppelganger. Of course, what Qin Yu used just now was not a doppelganger. At most, it was a shadow. If it weren't for the thick fog of the fog swamp, the Phantom Doppelganger would be useless. After putting away the Earth Martial Realm cultivator's corpse, Qin Yu took a deep breath and walked towards the last Earth Martial Realm cultivator. Your true chi is almost exhausted. Why don't you rest? The dragon's soul reminded him. In this environment, even if I don't have cultivation, I can still destroy a mere Earth Martial Realm cultivator. Qin Yu smiled confidently. Body-tempering realm, true martial realm, profound martial realm, Earth martial realm, and sky martial realm. These 5 realms were called the 5 basic realms in the heavenly domain. In other words, it was the realm of laying the foundation. No matter how bad Qin Yu's condition was, dealing with an Earth martial realm cultivator was not a problem. It was just that he didn't want to expose some of his trump cards in front of others. Soon, Qin Yu found the last Earth martial realm cultivator. The Earth martial realm cultivator called out several times. After not getting any response from the others, he also felt that something was wrong and was about to leave the fog swamp. But at this moment, Qin Yu swaggered into his line of sight. Qin Yu. Seeing this, the Earth martial realm cultivator's eyes flashed with killing intent. He immediately flew out. The saber in his hand carried an unparalleled power as he chopped towards Qin Yu. Soul destruction. Qin Yu didn't move and even closed his eyes slightly. In the next moment, Qin Yu's eyes suddenly opened. An invisible soul fluctuation suddenly attacked the Earth martial realm cultivator who had already rushed over. The Earth martial realm cultivator's body stiffened. His eyes suddenly protruded. His pupils dimmed and his vitality dissipated. Chapter 14. Secret Soul Technique. Even though Qin Yu's soul power has not recovered yet, he can already use soul attacks at his current level. However, from Qin Yu's pale face, it was clear that using the secret soul technique was a heavy burden on him. Don't you want to find out who sent him? The dragon's soul asked as it looked at the dead Earth martial realm cultivator. Is there a need to investigate? It's either the Ma family or the Shui family. A cold smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. No matter which family it was, losing 2 Earth martial realm cultivators was enough to make them feel pain. Immediately after, Qin Yu swallowed a rejuvenation pill and carried the Earth martial realm cultivator deep into the fog swamp. Under the dragon soul's perception, Qin Yu arrived at the depths of the fog swamp, where there was a deep swamp pit hundreds of meters wide. Qin Yu's body was as light as a swallow as he leaped into the air and reached the center of the swamp pit, but he didn't sink into it. Light feather technique. It was a simple secret technique that could reduce one's body weight like a feather. He took out the formation flags from his sumaru pouch and arranged them one by one, forming a formation that was hundreds of meters wide. Qin Yu formed a seal with both hands and activated the formation. It emitted a layer of faint lightning that covered the entire pit, but then it disappeared into the void. After setting up the formation, Qin Yu took out the 10 cultivator corpses, arranged them into a swastika, and then cut open their meridians. Rich blood immediately filled the air. Qin Yu took out the bottles of medicinal liquid that he had prepared in advance, as well as a large amount of blood that he had prepared. He poured it on the corpses, causing the smell of the blood to spread rapidly. After fusing with the medicinal liquid, the smell of the blood also carried a faint, blazing aura. This was a trap that Qin Yu had specially set for the blood flame Qilin. 10 profound martial realm cultivators should be able to draw out the blood flame Qilin. Qin Yu then leaps into the air again, leaving that deep swamp pit and concealing himself. I hope the blood flame Qilin's dragon blood is stronger. The dragon soul muttered to itself expectantly. Dragon soul, I'll heavily injure the blood flame Qilin after trapping it. At that time, you can use the soul domination art to control its soul. Qin Yu ordered the dragon soul. You want to turn the blood flame Qilin into a puppet. The dragon soul understood what Qin Yu meant. That's right. Qin Yu nodded slightly. Now that the family branch was unstable and the Shui family and the Ma family were in cahoots, it could be said that there were internal and external troubles. Naturally, he had to be prepared without exposing his trump card. Don't worry, I know what to do. The dragon soul nodded its huge dragon head. Roar. After about half an hour, a low and deep beast roar came from the depths of the misty swamp. As the thick fog surged, A scorching aura similar to that of a volcano's lava rushed over. Not long after, the sound of heavy footsteps could be heard. The ground trembled slightly as if a giant was approaching. "He's here!" Qin Yu's eyes flashed as he stared at the thick fog. Soon, a fiery red demonic beast covered in ferocious sharp scales appeared. That demonic beast was 5 meters tall, and its body was nearly 50 feet long. Its entire body was flickering with a blood like fire, while magma was faintly flowing within its large beast eyes. This was the blood-flame Qilin that Qin Yu had come here for. 7th level of the Heaven Martial Realm. A smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. This blood-flame Qilin beast cultivation was even above his expectations. It seems that the dragon blood in its body isn't too bad. The dragon soul was also excited. After the blood flame Qilin appeared, its huge head sniffed the air and roared excitedly. Its huge body brought with it a strong gust of wind as it charged toward the deep pit in the swamp. The smell of the hot blood in the swamp had a fatal attraction for the blood flame Qilin. Rumble! The sound of a heavy object falling to the ground rang out. Qin Yu's face lit up, and he immediately charged out. The blood flame Qilin beast was roaring and struggling in the deep pit of the swamp. The incomparably violent and scorching air currents were like magma from a volcano, incinerating the swamp. Crack! Qin Yu naturally wouldn't allow the blood flame Qilin to escape. As soon as the invisible spell formation appeared, a screen of dense lightning appeared in the sky above the deep swamp. Rumble! Qin Yu extended his hand and pointed to the lightning screen. Numerous bowl-sized lightning bolts struck down from the lightning screen and bombarded the blood flame Qilin's body unceasingly. The blood flame Qilin's bloody aura dissipated, its scales were shattered, and its flesh was charred black. An endless roar resounded throughout the swamp. The power of lightning was the natural bane of demonic beasts. Although Qin Yu's 4 lightning array wasn't as powerful as real lightning, it could still suppress the blood flame Qilin for the time being. Of course, it could only suppress the blood flame Qilin. Qin Yu naturally knew this very well. Thus, the moment he was suppressed, he immediately leapt out. Roar! The blood flame Qilin instantly discovered Qin Yu, and its bloodthirsty eyes glowed with a bloody light. The next moment, it opened its mouth and spat out a pillar of fire at Qin Yu. Whoosh! 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 Qin Yu used the 100 Shadows demonic shadow and appeared on the left side of the blood flame Qilin. Heaven punishing killing intent. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched at the blood flame Qilin's enormous body. A monstrous killing intent appeared, as if an ancient demon had descended and wanted to destroy everything in the world. Boom! The suppressed blood flame Qilin had no time to dodge and took the full brunt of the heaven-punishing killing intent. The blood flame Qilin's body trembled as large cracks appeared on its body and blood gushed out. Dragon Soul! Seeing this, Qin Yu immediately shouted loudly. Roar! A dragon's roar that shook the heavens resounded. The next moment, a black dragon that was several hundred feet long appeared in the void, radiating a boundless dragon aura. The blood flame Qilin, which had a thin amount of dragon blood in its body, felt instinctively frightened and trembled in front of the dragon soul. Moreover, it had already been severely injured by the heaven-punishing killing intent, so the dragon soul easily entered its body and took over its soul. Disperse the heaven-punishing killing intent. The dragon soul cried out as soon as it entered its body. At this moment, a terrifying killing intent that seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth swept through the blood flame Qilin's body, destroying its vitality. If this continued, the blood flame Qilin would become a corpse. Disperse. The pale-faced Qin Yu landed in front of the blood flame Qilin and touched it with his right hand. The ancient seal of the dragon god trembled, and the heaven-punishing killing intent that was wreaking havoc in the blood flame Qilin's body immediately dispersed. Qin Yu's body trembled as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Blood flowed out of his eyes, nose, ears, and mouth, and his aura became extremely weak. Fortunately, I reached the profound martial realm. Otherwise, I would be half crippled by now. Qin Yu lay in the deep pit of the swamp that had been incinerated by the flames, gasping for breath. The backlash from the heaven-punishing killing intent was just as he had expected. Withdraw. The dragon soul that had taken over the blood flame Qilin's soul roared. The blood flame Qilin turned into a ray of crimson light and entered the vast starry sky of the ancient seal of the dragon god. You actually slightly awakened the inferno blood dragon bloodline. Soon, the dragon soul's excited voice came from the ancient seal of the dragon god. Hurry up and refine the dragon blood. Qin Yu sat up cross-legged and entered the ancient seal of the dragon god. He was in a bad state and needed to use the dragon chi to recover from his injuries. Chapter 15. All right. Without any hesitation, the dragon soul absorbed all the dragon blood in the blood flame Qilin beast's veins. Doing so would exhaust the blood flame Qilin beast potential. But to the dragon soul, the blood flame Qilin beast was just a puppet, so it didn't need any potential. Immediately, the majestic mist-like dragon chi once again filled the divine dragon ancient seal. Immemorial war dragon art. Devour. Qin Yu formed hand seals with his hands and used the immemorial war dragon art to devour the dragon aura. His injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the originally weak aura on his body became vigorous, and his aura became tyrannical. After his injuries healed, it was time to raise his cultivation. Just as the dragon soul had said, the blood flame Qilin beast bloodline had already awakened. The power of the dragon blood was more than 10 times stronger than the crimson lightning pythons. Qin Yu's cultivation level immediately soared at lightning speed. First stage of the profound martial realm. Second stage of the profound martial realm. Third stage of the profound martial realm. Fourth stage of the profound martial realm. Fifth stage of the profound martial realm. Sixth stage of the profound martial realm. In less than an hour, Qin Yu had broken through to the sixth stage of the profound martial realm. Jumping 6 stages in one go was a terrifying cultivation speed, which showed how magical the immemorial war dragon art was. I'm in the 8th stage of the profound martial realm. The dragon soul was so excited that it did a somersault. Its cultivation was 2 stages higher than Qin Yu's. Then again, if Qin Yu hadn't used up a lot of dragon aura to heal his injuries, the dragon soul would have been much stronger. His cultivation should have been similar to the dragon soul. Shui Yutong, I hope you won't be afraid to show up. Thinking about the life and death battle with Shui Yutong half a month later, a smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. With his current strength, he could fight a cultivator in the earth martial realm head-on without using any secret techniques. Although Shui Yutong had been in the earth martial realm for half a year, her cultivation was probably not higher than the 5th level of the earth martial realm. She was no longer Qin Yu's opponent. Stepping lightly with the tip of his foot, Qin Yu leaped out of the messy swamp pit and followed the blazing aura in search of the underground fire vein. After about half a cup of tea's time, Qin Yu found that underground fire vein. At the end of the underground fire vein was the lair of the blood flame Kirin beast. It was filled with countless skeletons of both humans and beasts. Other than the bones, there was also a large amount of gold, jewelry, and spirit stones. There was a total of more than 30 million gold and over 1 million spirit stones. It seemed that the blood flame Qilin had a habit of collecting treasures. But now it was all Qin Yu's gang. Blood flame Lingji. Suddenly, Qin Yu's eyes lit up. Under the pile of bones, there was a palm-sized, blood-red, blood-colored Lingji mushroom that was emitting blazing waves of heat. This was the blood flame Lingji that accompanied the blood flame Kirin beast. It was a 4th-grade spiritual herb and was very valuable. Qin Yu put the blood flame Lingji into a jade box and put it into the ancient dragon seal. He let the ancient dragon's soul water it with the blood of the blood flame Kirin beast. When Qin Yu entered the sky martial realm in the future, This blood flame Lingji would be of great use. Soon after, Qin Yu walked to the underground fire vein. His body was covered with a layer of true qi, and he directly stepped into the fire vein. Fire lightning body refinement. When he stepped in, Qin Yu formed a seal with both hands and silently chanted an incantation. With a bang, the underground fire vein was like a barrel of oil that had been ignited. It suddenly burned with raging flames and covered Qin Yu's entire body. However, it did not burn Qin Yu. Around Qin Yu's body, there seemed to be an invisible vortex. All of the flames were revolving around that vortex. Strands of pure fire quietly seeped into Qin Yu's body and quickly merged with his flesh and bones. The fire lightning dragon physique had a total of 10 levels. Every time he broke through a level, his strength would increase by 1 dragon, and his strength would increase by 100,000. Furthermore, his physical body would be constantly tempered by the power of lightning and fire. With lightning and fire in his body, it would be difficult to be injured by swords and blades. When he cultivated it to the peak, he would even be comparable to a true dragon. As Qin Yu frantically trained, time passed by day after day. In Dragon Spirit City, news of the life and death battle between Qin Yu and Shui Yutong had spread like a hurricane. Everyone knew about it. This caused countless people to speculate. They did not know why the two clans, who were once connected by marriage, were now facing each other with life and death. As the news spread, the 3 great clans began to act in secret. An oppressive aura enveloped Dragon Spirit City. In the Qin clan study, none of you found the whereabouts of the young patriarch. Qin Tianhu asked the guards who had returned with a worried expression. No. Ever since the young patriarch left the clan, he has been missing. A guard in the 7th stage of the profound martial realm said. Where did he go? Qin Tianhu frowned. When he heard about the life and death battle between Qin Yu and Shui Yutong half a month ago, he wanted to find Qin Yu and ask him about it. But who would have thought that when he returned, he would find that Qin Yu had disappeared for several days? In the pavilion where the first elder lived in the Qin clan. You're saying that after Qin Yu left the city, 2 Earth Martial Realm cultivators secretly followed Qin Yu? When the first elder heard the report, his bloodshot eyes flickered with intense hatred. I think it's very likely that they're from the Shui clan and the Ma clan. The first elder said, it's too easy for that little bastard to die in the hands of those 2 clans. The first elder snorted coldly. The hatred in his eyes did not dissipate. Being targeted by 2 Earth Martial Realm cultivators. Even if Qin Yu had some strength, it would be difficult for him to escape. Furthermore, if he had really survived, he would have returned to the city long ago. First Elder, should we postpone our plan for the time being? The first elder asked. Postpone the plan for the time being. Wait until Qin Tianhu learns about Qin Yu's news. The first elder smiled coldly. Once Qin Yu died, Qin Tianhu would definitely go crazy. In the hall of the Ma clan, you're saying that the 2 Earth Martial Realm elders and 8 Xian Martial Realm elite guards all died in the foggy swamp. When Ma Junlong heard the words of the guard who went to explore and came back to report, his eyes couldn't help but darken. Losing 2 Earth Martial Realm cultivators at once was a huge blow to the Ma clan. Who did it? The Qin clan? Ma Yifei's handsome face revealed a ferocious killing intent. It was extremely sinister. From the looks of the situation, it seems that there's a Sky Martial Realm demonic beast. The guard reported, there's a Sky Martial Realm demonic beast in the foggy swamp. Ma Junlong and Ma Yifei were both startled. This was far beyond their expectations. The first elder personally went to take a look. From the traces, it's very likely to be a Sky Martial Realm LV-5 demonic beast. The guard said, So, Qin Yu also died in the foggy swamp. Ma Yifei remembered that Qin Yu hadn't returned to the city for a few days, and his expression became a little more cheerful. Although their losses were disastrous, at the very least, they had eliminated Qin Yu. It should be. Even 2 Earth Martial Realm cultivators and 8 Xian Martial Realm elites died. Qin Yu was just a true Martial Realm cultivator, so naturally, there was no way he could survive. Inform the Shui clan about this. After a few days, when the enrollment of the Imperial Sacred Academy is over, we'll take action. Ma Juanlong's eyes flashed with a sinister light. Yes, Ma Yifei heard and immediately left with the guard. Therefore, after returning, Qin Yu went to visit Qin Tianhu first. After reassuring Qin Tianhu, Qin Yu returned to his loft. In 3 days, the experts from the Imperial Sacred Academy would come to the city to recruit students. If Shui Yutong was really accepted as a disciple by the inner court elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy, then he would have to make more preparations. After all, he was going to take away Shui Yutong's martial vein. In the eyes of outsiders, this was no different from crippling Shui Yutong. It might even anger the inner court elder who accepted Shui Yutong as a disciple. In these 3 days, Qin Yu left the Qin family twice. One was to the city lord's mansion, and the other was to the trading market. Of course, the news of Qin Yu's safe return had also inadvertently slipped away. The Shui family was slightly regretful. The Ma family was gnashing their teeth, and the great elder and the others were filled with killing intent. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The sky was clear and the sun was shining brightly. Under the Shui family's arrangements, the experts from the Imperial Sacred Academy who came to recruit students entered the Dragon Spirit City. This time, only a total of 5 people came from the Imperial Sacred Academy. 2 of them were fully armed, wearing armor with sabers at their waists. They looked like guards. The other 3 people were an energetic old man in a golden silk robe and a beautiful woman in a palace dress. The last person was a handsome young man of 17 or 18 years old. The 2 fully armed martial artists seemed to be his guards. Although the young man was young, his cultivation was already at the peak of the sky martial realm. As for the old man and the beautiful woman, their cultivation was as vast as the sea, unfathomable, and they emitted an unparalleled aura. 2 martial emperors, not bad. The recruitment site was in the training square of the city lord's mansion. Among the Qin family martial artists, Qin Yu looked at the old man and the beautiful woman and sensed their cultivation. If they're the inner court elders of the Imperial Sacred Academy, then the martial arts standard of the Imperial Sacred Academy should be at the martial ancestor realm. The dragon soul in the ancient dragon seal said. Qin Yu nodded slightly. In this small Zhenwu dynasty, it was unlikely that there was someone at the Wusheng realm. The body-tempering realm to the sky martial realm could only be considered as the 5 basic realms. After the sky martial realm, it was martial king, martial emperor, martial honorable, martial ancestor, Wusheng, martial god, martial ancestor, martial emperor, and emperor. These 9 realms were called the 9 realms of martial Tao. Each realm was also divided into 9 levels. In the Tian domain, only by stepping into the martial king realm could one be considered to have truly stepped into the martial Tao and had the qualifications to pursue the Tao of longevity. Today, I'll shut your mouth forever. Among the Shui family martial artists, Shui Yutong, who was shining brightly, saw Qin Yu and a cold, killing intent flashed in her eyes. Qin family, after today, you will be completely removed from a list. The Ma family martial artists, the father and son of the Ma family, glanced at the Qin family with cold eyes. What the hell is this kid doing? Why does he want to have a life and death battle with Shui Yutong? The city lord, Shang Lingfeng, who was in charge of maintaining order, glanced at Qin Yu and Shui Yutong. Shui Yutong had already been accepted as a disciple by the inner court elder of the Imperial Academy. Now, it was equivalent to having a martial royal realm expert as her backer. It was not wise for Qin Yu to have a life and death battle with Shui Yutong today. I believe everyone knows that we are here to recruit students, so I won't waste any more words. Now, anyone who is under the age of 17 and whose cultivation is above the profound martial realm can come up and give it a try. At this moment, the old man in charge of the recruitment took out a crystal stone tablet and placed it in the center of the square. This stone tablet could test a person's bone age, cultivation, martial vein aptitude, and other conditions. As the old man's seal fell, among the younger generation of Dragon Spirit City, those whose age and cultivation were qualified couldn't help but step forward. Ever since the news of the Imperial Academy coming to recruit students had spread a few months ago, the major forces of Dragon Spirit City had all done their best to nurture the younger generation who might be qualified. With the accumulation of a large amount of resources, more than 20 young geniuses of the profound martial realm had appeared. A bunch of trash who overestimate themselves. Shui Yutong's eyes flashed with disdain as she looked at the younger generation who were scrambling to step forward. Did they really think that they could enter the Imperial Academy just because their bone age and cultivation were qualified? If the threshold of the Imperial Academy was so low, then it wouldn't be regarded as the sacred academy by the entire Zhenwu dynasty. What the Imperial Academy valued wasn't bone age or cultivation of the profound martial realm, but martial aptitude. In other words, the level of martial veins. Chapter 17. Martial veins were divided into 9 grades, from the lowest to the highest. The standard to enter the Imperial Sacred Academy was at least the 6th grade. As for the 9th grade martial vein, it was extremely rare even in the entire Zhenwu dynasty. Because of this, after the Shui family sent Shui Yutong's aptitude to the Imperial Sacred Academy through the Shui clan, an inner elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy immediately accepted her as a disciple. Of course, above the 9th grade martial vein, there are spiritual veins, heavenly veins, and other innate spiritual veins. If the 9th grade martial vein was extremely rare in the Zhenwu dynasty, then those with spiritual veins, heavenly veins, and other innate spiritual veins were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Even in the entire Great Eastern region, there were very few of them. Every one of them was a monstrous genius that appeared once in 100 years. Soon, the aptitudes of the younger generation who went up to take the test were tested, and all of them failed. Their martial vein aptitudes were basically the 5th grade. Although one of them barely reached the 6th grade, the elders of the Imperial Sacred Academy didn't think highly of him. Although the 6th grade was the starting point, it didn't mean that one could pass the test after reaching the 6th grade. In the Imperial Sacred Academy, students with the 6th grade martial vein were everywhere. Naturally, they didn't think highly of them, especially when they were already 17 years old. Seeing this, Shui Yutong stepped forward. She sneered at Qinyu and walked to the stone tablet. At this moment, the entire Dragon Spirit City was focused on Shui Yutong, who was wearing a white dress and had an extraordinary aura. Although the Shui family said that Shui Yutong had awakened the 9th grade martial vein and that her cultivation speed was indeed amazing, she had never shown it in front of anyone. Therefore, they all wanted to see with their own eyes if Shui Yutong really had the 9th grade martial vein. Master! Shui Yutong walked forward and bowed to the beautiful woman. However, when she glanced at the handsome youth at the peak of the sky martial realm, a trace of shyness appeared on her face. Don't be nervous, Yutong. The beautiful woman smiled faintly and said in a gentle voice. The handsome youth looked at Shui Yutong with interest. Yes. Shui Yutong nodded gently and touched the stone tablet with both hands. As the mysterious runes lit up, the crystal tablet lit up with 9 beams of light. She really has the 9th grade martial vein. This aura is on par with Qin Yu's martial vein test. He is indeed a proud son of heaven. An uproar broke out as all the martial artists in Dragon Spirit City were shocked. Not only does he have a 9th grade martial vein, but the quality is also extremely high. When the handsome young man saw the 9 rays of light, his eyes flashed with a dazzling light. If he were to dual cultivate with Shui Yutong and absorb the essence of her martial vein, his martial vein would definitely evolve into a Xiantian spiritual vein. It seemed that marrying Shui Yutong, a descendant of a branch family, into the main family was not a loss. The Shui family martialists were overjoyed at this result. But the clansmen of the Qin clan's direct bloodline didn't look so good. Especially Qin Yu. He knew that Shui Yutong's martial vein was taken by force from Qin Yu. If not for Qin Yu's warning, he would have destroyed the Shui clan's reputation long ago. Qin Yu, aren't you going to take the test? Shui Yutong turned around and sneered at Qin Yu. Then I'll take the test. Qin Yu chuckled as he stepped forward and casually placed his right hand on the stone tablet. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Following the faint roar of a dragon, the crystal tablet shook and dazzling pillars of light shot into the sky. It was as if 9 Shinran had appeared. The martial artists in Dragon Spirit City who were still discussing Shui Yutong's martial vein were stunned when they saw the 9 pillars of light that shot into the sky from Qin Yu's test. The huge square was so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. Even the old man and beautiful woman from the Imperial Sacred Academy, as well as the handsome young man from the Shui clan, were stunned. The light from the test was as big as a pillar of light. Was this really a 9th grade martial vein? Even though they had seen many things, they had never seen such a scene before. Could it be a Xiantian spiritual vein? A strange look flashed in the eyes of the handsome young man from the Shui clan. No, if it's a Xiantian spiritual vein, the golden light should be shooting into the sky. The beautiful woman also thought of the Xiantian spiritual vein, but she immediately shook her head in denial. Even if it's not a Xiantian spiritual vein, its quality is not far from it. The old man's eyes lit up as he looked at Qin Yu, as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. What the hell? Shui Yu from the Shui clan, Ma Junlong from the Ma clan, and the first elder from the Qin clan were all stunned as they looked at Qin Yu. The situation before them was truly out of their expectations. On the other hand, Qin Tianhu did not have such a big reaction. Although he was also surprised by the high quality of Qin Yu's void martial vein, he knew that it could not replace martial veins. Therefore, his reaction was not very strong. Impossible. How could you have a 9th grade martial vein? Of course, Shui Yutong was the one who found it most unbelievable. Back then, she had taken away Qin Yu's martial vein with her own hands. She could not believe that Qin Yu had a 9th grade martial vein. Even if he was a dual martial veins master, his aptitude was heaven-defying. How could I have a 9th grade martial vein? Shui Yutong, do you think that I won't have a 9th grade martial vein after you took it away? After glancing at the beautiful woman and the handsome young man, Qin Yu looked at Shui Yutong and chuckled. What? Shui Yutong's martial vein was taken away from Qin Yu. If that's the case, is Qin Yu dual martial veins master? Oh my god, what kind of monster is this? Although Qin Yu's voice was not loud, it contained genuine qi. In an instant, it was clearly heard by everyone in the square. Shui Yutong's martial vein was taken away from him? The old man and the beautiful woman both looked at Shui Yutong. I see. I was wondering how a descendant of the Shui clan, whose bloodline had almost disappeared, could give birth to a 9th grade martial vein genius. So this is what happened. Only the handsome young man understood the connection after being startled for a moment. Although the secret method of seizing martial veins was considered a taboo in the Shui clan, many of the descendant clans still possessed it. It was not difficult for Shui Yutong and the others to obtain the secret method. No wonder he was suddenly poisoned and his martial vein disappeared. City Lord Shang Lingfeng pondered. After Qin Yu helped Princess by Qingwei detoxify the poison of the inky poisonous flood dragon, Shang Lingfeng had specially investigated Qin Yu's situation. He knew more about what had happened than anyone else. Qin Yu, don't slander me. Shui Yutong had never expected that Qin Yu would say this at this time. She could not help but tremble with anger. If Qin Yu had only shown an ordinary aptitude, not many people would take it seriously even if he said this in public. They would even think that he was jealous of her martial vein talent. But now, when Qin Yu's martial vein talent was even higher than hers, everything changed. This was also something that Shui Yutong did not expect. If she had known that Qin Yu's martial vein talent was so outstanding, she would not have allowed Qin Yu to live until today. Chapter 18. I'm slandering you? Heh, Shui Yutong. Your Shui family didn't hesitate to marry you to me in order to obtain my martial vein. Then, when I helped you awaken your martial vein, you attacked me and took it away. You even killed me to silence me and poisoned me with soul annihilation powder. Did you think that no one would find out about the despicable and filthy things you did back then? Qin Yu's eyes were sharp and his voice was cold, causing Shui Yutong and Shui Liyu's faces to change. The gazes from all around were like blades, causing them to feel ashamed and unable to show their faces. It wasn't a secret in Dragon Spirit City that Qin Yu had been poisoned and his martial vein had disappeared. When many people heard Qin Yu's words, they understood the mystery behind it. After all, Shui Yutong had indeed awakened her 9th grade martial vein not long after Qin Yu's martial vein disappeared. Qin Yu, how dare you slander me like this? Today, we won't rest until one of us is dead. Shui Yutong, who was originally a proud daughter of the heavens, had an ugly expression on her face and her temperament was gone. Her right hand moved and a sword appeared in the sumaru pouch at her waist. The long sword was unsheathed and a cold sword aura spread out, causing the surrounding temperature to drop. As soon as the sword was unsheathed, a powerful aura exploded from Shui Yutong's body, as if she had turned into a ferocious beast. Level 5 of the Earth Martial Realm. Level 5 of the Earth Martial Realm at the age of 15, shocking countless people once again. Even the old man and the beautiful woman from the Imperial Sacred Academy were slightly moved. With this level of strength, he could be considered one of the best among his peers in the Royal Sacred Academy. What? You're angry because I exposed the truth and you want to kill me again? Qin Yu stood calmly, as if he didn't have the terrifying aura from Shui Yutong. You were the one who suggested a life-and-death battle half a month ago. Now you're afraid? Shui Yutong stared coldly at Qin Yu, and the killing intent in her eyes couldn't be concealed. You're not qualified to make me afraid. Qin Yu's eyes turned cold. His goal was to force Shui Yutong to fight him. That way, he would have a chance to reclaim his martial vein. Wait. At this moment, the old man suddenly said, "You want to fight to the death?" The beautiful woman's eyes flashed, but she didn't say anything. Judging from the current situation, Shui Yutong had the absolute advantage. That handsome young man was even less worried. After all, he had given Shui Yutong something good. This is the battle we agreed upon half a month ago. Shui Yutong nodded coldly. Right now, she only wanted to destroy Qin Yu immediately. She didn't want to see Qin Yu for even half a second. You have all passed the examination and can be considered students of the Sacred Institute. How can you be so reckless as to fight to the death? The old man scolded softly. Shui Yutong's expression changed slightly when she heard the old man, and she couldn't help but look at the beautiful woman and the handsome young man. Elder Luo, according to the rules of the Sacred Institute, as long as both sides agree, they can fight to the death. Moreover, the two of them haven't entered the Sacred Institute yet, and they have an agreement to fight. It's reasonable for us not to stop them. A chuckle sounded. It was the handsome young man who stepped forward. Elder E, what do you think? That's reasonable. The beautiful woman, Elder E, nodded slightly in agreement. The old man called Elder Luo couldn't help but frown. It seemed that Yi Xiangmei and Shui Tianwu wanted to facilitate this fight to the death. If that's the case, then let's stop here. Elder Luo said. Since it's a fight to the death, how can it stop here? A smile appeared on Shui Tianwu's face as he spoke again. That's right. Since we propose a fight to the death, we naturally have to fight to the death. Qin Yu, if you're afraid now, then kneel down and beg for mercy. Perhaps I can spare your lowly life. With the support of Yi Xiangmei and Shui Tianwu, Shui Yutong was full of confidence and looked at Qin Yu arrogantly. Haha, you'd better worry about yourself. Qin Yu chuckled. The sea of true qi in his body surged, and a tyrannical true qi emerged. You're overestimating yourself. I'll let you see how powerful the real Earth martial arts realm is. Shui Yutong sneered. The sword in her hand trembled slightly, and a visible chill rose up. Even the surface of the ancient sword was faintly covered with a thin layer of ice. The awakened true Qi is of the ice attribute. Qin Yu's eyes flashed. After a martial artist entered the earth martial arts realm, true Qi would awaken the corresponding attribute according to their body constitution. With the increase of the attribute, the power of true Qi would rise to another level. This was the biggest gap between the earth martial arts realm and the profound martial arts realm. Of course, this gap didn't exist for Qin Yu. Below the high platform, Qin Tianhu looked at the scene and couldn't hide the worry in his eyes. He had been in the earth martial arts realm for more than 10 years and naturally knew the gap between the earth martial arts realm and the profound martial arts realm. What's more, Shui Yutong's cultivation had reached the 5th level of the earth martial arts realm. Her strength was far beyond the earth martial arts realm. Ice ceiling 9 swords. At this moment, Shui Yutong's delicate body moved, and the ancient sword in her hand slashed out. 9 sword lights shot towards Qin Yu. Wherever the sword lights passed, a chill overflowed and a murderous aura surged. Level 6 profound martial arts technique, ice sword technique. Flashy but impractical. Qin Yu shook his head slightly and walked forward. Only when the 9 beams of sword light are about to hit him does Qin Yu slightly move sideways, dodging the 9 beams of sword light in a very skillful manner. Let's see how you dodge this time. Cold wind sword rain. Shui Yutong's face changed slightly, and her gaze became even more sinister. After a cold snort, she stepped lightly on the ground and leaped into the air. The ancient sword in her hand left a trail of sword shadows. Following that, over 100 deep cold sword rays, like a sudden rainstorm, came flying toward Qin Yu from all directions. You're courting death. Qin Yu stomped on the ground with his right foot and burst out with astonishing speed. He left 6 or 7 afterimages as he charged through the area of the sword rain. Not good. Seeing this, Yi Xiangmei's gaze changed slightly. She saw that Qin Yu, who had dodged the sword rain, had rushed to Shui Yutong's blind spot in an instant. Then, he leaped up and charged towards Shui Yutong, who had already missed him. Seeing this, Shui Tianwu's lips curled into a sneer. Die! At this moment, hearing the sound of the wind behind her, Shui Yutong's eyes were filled with a sinister, killing intent. She flipped her left hand, and a pale red bead appeared. Then, with a flick of her wrist, she threw it at Qin Yu, who was charging at her with extreme speed. That's the exploding origin bead. The moment Shui Yutong took out the fiery red bead, Elder Luo recognized it. The pale red bead contained the true origin energy of a sky martial realm martial artist. Once it exploded, Qin Yu would definitely be smashed into pieces. Elder Luo, could it be that you want to interfere in this life-and-death duel? Just as Elder Luo was about to move, an aura locked onto him. It was Yi Xiangmei. Elder Yi, did you give her that exploding origin bead? Such a genius was about to fall in front of him, and it made his expression unsightly. However, he did not dare to move recklessly because Yi Xiangmei's cultivation was stronger than his. It doesn't matter if I gave it to her or not. Since it's a life-and-death duel, I naturally have to resort to unscrupulous means. Is there anything unreasonable about this? Yi Xiangmei glanced at Shui Tianwu. Since it wasn't given by her, then it must be given by Shui Tianwu. Chapter 19. Exploding Origin Orb? TSK. Such a lame trick. Qin Yu, who was rushing towards Shui Yutong, saw the exploding elemental pearl shooting towards him with an unstable aura and smiled in disdain. Boom! Qin Yu casually waved his hand and swept the exploding origin orb that was about to explode into his Sumeru pouch. How was this possible? Shui Tianwu, who was waiting to watch a good show, was filled with disbelief. What did he just see? An exploding origin orb that was about to explode was taken away, just like that? Explode. At this moment, Shui Yutong had no idea what was going on. She roared as she planned to detonate the exploding origin orb. Boom! At the same time, there was a low sound of impact. Shui Yutong's face turned pale, and she couldn't help vomiting a mouthful of blood. Qin Yu had sent her flying with a punch. A surge of tyrannical origin orb charged into her dantian and wreaked havoc. Thud! Thud! The two of them landed on the ground at the same time, but Shui Yutong's neck was grabbed by Qin Yu. She couldn't move at all and could only be slaughtered by Qin Yu. It can't be, right? Shui Yutong, who is in the 5th stage of the Earth Martial Realm, lost? Is Qin Yu really in the 6th stage of the profound martial realm? Why do I feel that he's even more terrifying than 2 years ago? Seeing that the outcome of the battle had been decided, the surrounding cultivators suddenly burst into a heated discussion after a moment of dead silence. It wasn't that they hadn't seen anyone challenging someone of a higher realm, but to be able to win so easily despite being an entire realm higher was something that shocked them. Impossible. How can Yutong lose? That's impossible. The patriarch of the Shui clan, Shui Yu, lost control of his emotions when he saw Shui Yutong being grabbed by Qin Yu. Father, our plan with the Shui clan. Ma Yifei couldn't help but ask from the Ma clan side. Let's take a look first. Ma Junlong looked past Qin Yu and Shui Yutong to Yi Xiangmei and Shui Tianwu. In the current Dragon Spirit City, only those from the Imperial Academy had the absolute right to speak. If I don't get rid of this little bastard as soon as possible. In the Qin family, after the Great Elder recovered from his shock, the hatred in his eyes was hard to suppress. The current Qin, you could easily crush Shui Yutong, who was in the 5th level of the Earth Martial Arts realm. In another 2 years, it would be impossible for him to avenge his son. That kid won't really kill him, right? City Lord Shang Lingfeng stared intently at Qin Yu, secretly preparing. Once Qin Yu made his move, Shui Tianwu from the Shui clan and Yi Xiangmei from the Imperial Sacred Institute would definitely not sit idly by. Shui Yutong, you tried so hard to promote the life and death battle, but you didn't expect to end up like this, did you? Hearing Qin Yu's soft words, Shui Yutong's pretty face was deathly pale, and her eyes were filled with terror as she begged for mercy. Unfortunately, Qin Yu's fierce gaze didn't waver in the slightest, causing Shui Yutong to be enveloped by an unprecedented terror. There are some things that you should return to me. Qin Yu's right hand grabbed Shui Yutong's neck, and his left hand was like a dragon's claw. A strange aura surrounded the claw. Master, save. Shui Yutong naturally knew what Qin Yu was talking about. If her martial vein was taken back by Qin Yu, then she would return to being an ordinary 4th-level martial vein. This caused Shui Yutong to struggle violently, and she begged Yi Xiangmei and Shui Tianwu for help. Stop. At this moment, Shui Tianwu finally couldn't sit still anymore. His body moved, and he appeared on the high platform. He gloomily stares at Qin Yu. Now let her go. Kneel down and break your own arms. If you do, I can spare your dog life. Otherwise, I'll make sure that you and your clan are exterminated. As his voice rose, the terrifying aura of the peak of the sky martial realm appeared on Shui Tianwu's body. It was like an apocalyptic storm that swept through the clouds, causing the sky to change color. This is the peak of the sky martial realm? Looking at his appearance, he seems to be only 16 or 17 years old. My God, what kind of monster is this? There's actually such a force behind the Shui family? Shui Tianwu's powerful cultivation shocked all the cultivators in the Dragon Spirit City, intimidating everyone. Qin Tianhu's face couldn't help but pale. Shui Tianwu's powerful cultivation made him unable to resist at all, facing a peak of the sky martial realm. Even if all the members of the Qin family attacked together, they would be slaughtered in an instant. First Elder, we won't be implicated, right? On the First Elder's side, a branch elder's body trembled as he whispered to the First Elder. Young Master, from now on, our Qin family branch will completely leave the Qin family and pledge allegiance to the Shui family. The First Elder quivered and came back to his senses as he hurriedly shouted. If Qin Yu's martial vein was really taken by Shui Yutong, then there would already be a blood feud between them that wouldn't end until one of them was dead. Even if Qin Yu didn't kill Shui Yutong today, Shui Yutong would definitely get rid of Qin Yu in the future. She might even destroy the entire Qin family. If they didn't leave now, they would be waiting for death. First Elder, you guys. Qin Tianhu's aura fluctuated when he saw the first elder leading the branch elders to leave the Qin family and head towards the Shui family. He vomited a mouthful of blood. Qin Tianhu, I already said that you will regret it. The first elder turned around and glared at Qin Tianhu with hatred. After Qin, you killed Qin Meng. Their branch had secretly contacted Luo Xingyu. The reason why they stayed in the Qin family was because they were waiting for the right opportunity. Now that such an unforeseen event happened, they naturally had to cut ties with the Qin family. Qin Tianhu's gaze went past the first elder and stared at Luo Xingyu, who wore a cold smile on his face. Patriarch Ma, are you still going to remain silent? Luo Xingyu coldly glanced at Qin Yu before he turned his head to look in the direction of the Ma family. Shui Tianwu's attack immediately calmed him down. How can that be? Haven't I been waiting for your signal? Ma Junlong chuckled and stood out. At this point, the Ma family, Shui family, and Qin family's branch had surrounded the Qin family. Qin Yu, it's best that you release Yu Tong immediately. Otherwise, not a single person from your in-laws' direct line of descent will survive. Luo Xingyu looked coldly at Qin Yu, who was on the high platform. None of you can leave here alive today. Taking a glance at the Qin clansmen who were in a perilous situation, a frightening cold light flashed through Qin Yu's eyes. Xiao Yu, don't listen to them. Even if you release Shui Yu Tong, they won't stop. It's worth it to take one of them down with us. At this moment, Qin Tianhu suddenly shouted at Qin Yu. Although he didn't say it explicitly, Qin Yu could tell that Qin Tianhu wanted him to take Shui Yu Tong hostage and take the opportunity to escape. My patience is limited. I'll count to 3. Release her or die. Shui Tianwu ignored the changes in the Qin family, Ma family, and Shui family. To him, the 3 major families of Dragon Spiritual City were just a bunch of ants that he could destroy with a wave of his hand. If not for the fact that he wanted to use the power of Shui Yu Tong's martial vein to break through to the innate spiritual vein, he would have killed Qin Yu. Chapter 20. 1, 2, 3. Shui Tianwu coldly stared at Qin Yu as the killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. Huffed. Before Shui Tianwu could finish his words, Shui Yutong suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. Qin Yu's left hand slammed onto Shui Yutong's dantian. Along with a mysterious energy, a translucent martial vein was pulled out from Shui Yutong's dantian and instantly entered Qin Yu's palm before merging with the void dragon vein. Roar! A deafening dragon roar rang out from the ancient seal of the divine dragon. The dragon soul immediately released a large amount of dragon aura and merged the void dragon vein and martial vein together. This caused the golden void dragon vein to produce mysterious dragon runes. The true energy in Qin Yu's body also underwent a transformation in an instant. It turned into a golden dragon aura and underwent a qualitative change. Although his cultivation didn't increase, Qin Yu's strength had increased by several levels. You actually dare to pull out the martial vein? Shui Tianwu's face froze. He never expected that Qin Yu would actually make a move against Shui Yutong under such circumstances. This is my martial vein, so I naturally have to take it back. Qin Yu clenched his fist and shattered Shui Yutong's throat. Shui Yutong died on the spot. In the past, she used soul annihilating powder on him, and now she's trying to kill him everywhere. Qin Yu is not a good-tempered person, so naturally he will not let Shui Yutong live. Yutong, Yixiang Mei, who was restraining Elder Luo, looked at Shui Yutong, who had already turned into a corpse. This brat is ruthless. Elder Luo felt a chill in his heart when he saw Qin Yu's indifferent expression. Good, very good. Bastard, if I don't make you suffer, then my surname isn't Shui. Shui Tianwu is even more furious. His killing intent soars to the heavens. Sweeping up his sky-shaking elemental energy, he charges at Qin Yu. Under this move, even a group of Earth martial arts realm martial artists would die and their souls would scatter. That will depend on whether or not you have the ability to do so. Qin Yu's figure flashed, and the 100 shadow demonic steps brought along 10 figures as he jumped down from the high platform, charging towards the Shui and Ma family members who were surrounding the Qin family. Die! Shui Tianwu's figure flashed as he burst out with a surging true essence. Rumble! A silhouette flashed by, blocking Shui Tianwu's Jinyuan torrent. The two of them exploded with a heaven-shaking explosion. It was the city lord Shang Lingfeng. A mere city lord of small city dares to stop me? Are you tired of living? Shui Tianwu's face sank as he looked at Shang Lingfeng with a sinister killing intent. As Shang Lingfeng moved out, the elite guards of the city lord's mansion approached the three great families in unison. What's going on? Why would the city lord intervene and help the Qin family? In the past, the city lord only knew how to maintain the safety of the city, but he never interfered with the internal strife of the three great clans. The martial artists of the Dragon Spirit City and the three great families did not expect Shang Lingfeng to intervene, so they were quite surprised. Even the Qin family members were extremely shocked. They did not know when Qin Yu had established a connection with the city lord. The Commandery Prince of Baiwu has ordered that Qin Yu is a distinguished guest of the Commandery Prince's mansion. No one is allowed to attack him. Shang Lingfeng ignored the cold, killing intent in Shui Tianwu's eyes and took out a token. It was the token of the Commandery Prince of Baiwu. The Commandery Prince of Baiwu? Shui Tianwu's face changed slightly. The Commandery Prince of Baiwu was a relative of the Emperor, and the current Commandery Prince of Baiwu was a famous expert in the Zhenwu dynasty. How could such a person be related to a small family in the Dragon Spirit City? The Commandery Prince of Baiwu even gave a military token to the city lord to protect him. Yi Xiangmei and Elder Luo were also surprised. They did not expect the Shui family to be supported by the Shui family and the Qin family to be supported by the Commandery Prince of Baiwu. This matter seemed to be getting out of hand. Humph! I don't care what relationship this guy has with the Commandery Prince of Baiwu, but he killed my fiancée. If I don't avenge her, the Shui family will lose face. Seeing that Qin Yu had killed several Shui family martial artists, Shui Tianwu's face darkened and his aura became more and more powerful. The Commandery Prince of Baiwu was indeed powerful, but the Shui family had been passed down for thousands of years. They were naturally powerful and would not be afraid of a mere Commandery Prince. With me here, you can't do anything. Shui Tianwu shook his head slightly. Although his cultivation level was lower than Shui Tianwu's, it was not difficult for him to stop Shui Tianwu. You may be able to stop one of me, but can you stop three of me? Shui Tianwu sneered and shouted at the two armored martial artists. Black troopers! Boom! Boom! Immediately, two powerful auras shot up into the sky and swept through the clouds like two Archean fierce beasts. The two armored martial artists jumped to Shui Tianwu's side, and the ground shook violently. King Wu, Shang Lingfeng's face changed. The aura of the two armored martial artists was so oppressive that it was difficult for him to breathe. The faces of the Qin clan's martial practitioners, who were originally filled with hope, turned completely pale as despair filled their faces. In Dragon Spirit City, a Sky Martial Realm martial artist was enough to dominate them, not to mention two King Wu experts. Take that kid down. Anyone who dares to stop us. Kill without mercy. Shui Tianwu's face was ferocious, and his killing intent was even stronger. Shui Tianwu, how dare you disobey the order of the Commandery Prince of Baiwu? Shang Lingfeng's face changed. A life for a life. This is a matter of course. Even if this matter is brought to the Emperor, I, Shui Tianwu, have nothing to fear. Do it. Shui Tianwu shouted coldly. But after giving the order for a while, Shui Tianwu realized that the two black troopers were still motionless. What are you doing? I told you to kill that kid and his family. Shui Tianwu frowned. The black troopers were his personal bodyguards. Even if he told them to kill themselves, they would not hesitate. But now, they were not listening to his orders? After tilting his head, Shui Tianwu realized. Under the helmets of the two black troopers, their faces were pale and cold sweat was dripping down. They could not hide the fear in their eyes. "Who is it? Hide your head and show your tail. Come out." At this moment, Yi Xiangmei seemed to have sensed something. She did not care about restraining Elder Luo anymore. She strode to Shui Tianwu's side and shouted coldly. As soon as she shouted, an aura that was dozens of times more terrifying than the two King Wu black troopers burst out. It shook the sky and cracked the earth. Martial Emperor. Countless martial artists in the city were shocked. For them, a martial king was an unattainable existence. They had only heard of a martial emperor in legends. They did not expect to see a martial emperor expert in real life, as expected of an inner court elder of the Imperial Sacred Academy. "Junior, you don't know what to say." As soon as Yi Xiangmei spoke, a vast pressure suddenly descended from the sky, causing Yi Xiangmei to groan. Her body trembled as if she could not stand steadily. What a strong pressure. What kind of expert is living in seclusion in Dragon Spirit City? Shui Tianwu, who felt the pressure from Yi Xiangmei, could not help but turn pale. This voice, could it be? Shang Lingfeng's expression changed, and his eyes were filled with joy. "Senior, I'm Shui Tianwu, a direct descendant of the Shui clan. There might be some misunderstanding here. Can you show yourself?" Shui Tianwu immediately mentioned the Shui clan. In the Zhenwu dynasty, he did not believe that anyone would dare to touch the Shui clan and the Imperial Sacred Academy at the same time. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.